I always wanted to serve on a jury.
I'm really super excited to be here, so I really appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Creating this whole trial daddy.
I want to give a big shout out to the 13th Jury Podcast and Brandy.
Yeah, I applaud you guys. Keep doing what you're doing.
That every time you run into Phil Barber, you should reach for it.
And then I just looked to the jury, and it's sort of like, look.
I was in the eye of the storm, and you guys were watching the storm.
Hey, if you're bored of work, come pop in and say, hey, want some coffee?
You are a ray of sunshine, and I love what you've done with your YouTube channel.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Good morning, jurors. It is good to see you. It is good to see you. Happy Thursday. Are we tired? I think we are. I think we are. Hear ye, hear ye. God save the Commonwealth. God save the Queen, or whatever they say. Good morning. Good morning. Let me put on my headphones so I can actually hear when they come on. Good morning. Good morning. It is good to see you. It is good to see you. I am so glad we have a short day today because I am running on about 3 hours of sleep. Ish. So I'm glad it's a short day today. I don't think I could handle a full 7 to 25 hours of Lally. Dang, it feels like 25 hours, don't it? Is it me? Does it feel like when he's questioning for every hour that we have to Lally, it feels like it feels like more. It's like, like when you're doing like circuit training and you have like 1 minute of sprinting and then 30 seconds of like walking. And you know how like the walking goes by so fast, but that 1 minute of sprinting seems like it's like that 1 minute of sprinting seems like it's like 18 minutes. That's how Lally's questioning is for me. That's how I feel when I am watching Lally. He's a lot. He's a lot. He is draining. Boy, is he draining. One Lally. Come on, let me click. 1 Lally minute equals 10 regular minutes. It's like Lally functions it's almost like dog years. Like Lally questioning is like how dog years work. Like for every 1 Lally minute, it takes like 10 minutes off your life. I don't know. I can't. But we're here. We're here on day 744 of trial. So excited. 700 and all the days. We have been here for all the days. That's okay. We're going to get through it. He is so slow. He's so slow. You know what? This is why everybody in Canton drinks. It's people like Lally. Holly Mack, mod extraordinaire, member for 12 whole months. What is going on with my Wi-Fi. Oh, I'm on the, hold on. I'm probably going to buffer. Hold on. I got to swap over to my phone. Okay. Give it a second. Gotta give it a second. There we go. And we're fibered. For whatever reason, it swaps over sometimes. Now let's try this again. Holly Mack, mod extraordinaire, 1 whole year. Thanks for a great 12 months. Thank you for being here. Holly Mack for 1 whole year. Thank you. 1 whole year. Holly Mack. Many more years to come. You live here now. He's the sloth from Zootopia at the DMV. That is the best explanation I could possibly. Yeah. What, if any, like, yeah. What, if any, characters does he remind you of? The sloth from Zootopia at the DMV. Yeah. Yeah. His questioning is just like the waterfall clock that's 12 minutes behind real time. It's so bad. It's so bad. How many times will he be asked to speak up? Get your guesses in. Get your guesses in now. But today's a short day, so hopefully he'll be done soon. And then Alan Jackson will get up for cross. I'll be honest, Alan Jackson gets more accomplished in his cross examinations than Lally does. And the things that it's like we get so lost. Oh, hold on. This is my doctor, I think. Hello? Okay, sorry. I had to that's like my foot's asleep. I had to do my little telehealth. Jackson gets more done in his cross examinations. He's so concise and does such a good job at getting all of the information that you need to know together. And Lally is so, he's like a dial tone. It's so much. It's so much. It's so much. It's so, I love that sloth too, actually. I love the sloth more than I love Lolly, but they remind me of each other. Kelly member for 6 whole months, 84 years, and wouldn't be anywhere else. Oh, dang. I tried to hit my 84 years thing because I thought it was on, but it's not. Hold on. We're going to get this going for you. We're going to get this going for you so that I can give you my sound effects. I restarted my computer, and I think they're going to work. Hold on. We got this. Nope. Still not working. Hold on. We got this. We got this. We got time. We'll just wait here. And maybe it's not going to work. Stream Deck. Nope. Okay. Well, I thought I was going to be able to play it for you, but I guess I was wrong. 84 years, Kelly. 84 years. 6 months, 84 years, same thing. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Tori the Sea Lady, 10 whole months. Member for 10 whole months. Happy 10-month anniversary. 10-month anniversary. You live here now. Amy, it's like he has a word quota every day and he's trying to hit it with his questioning. But the only thing is, if he has a word quota, it has to be how many total words spoken and not how many unique words, because what, if any, does he repeat himself? All of the, like, bleh, it's so much. It's so much. Case Carpetta, member for 9 whole months. Yay, a whole 9 months. You have a jury baby now. 9 whole months. Congratulations. Congratulations. Kelly, hello. New subscriber, found you from the podcast about Canton. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Yes, Linda, I was muted because I was on the phone with my doctor. And some of y'all are nosy. You don't need to be hearing what I say to my doctor. Mermaid, Mary RN, member for 6 whole months. Love our best host, mods, and chat. And support pup on YouTube. Yes, she is down there eating her morning treat. Happy 6 months. Happy 6 months to you. You live here now. You live here. Bri Bear, member for 1 whole month. Thank you for an extra special month. Thank you for an extra special month. I'll give y'all the OnlyFans. Yeah. I didn't have anything to say that was too personal on the call, so that's okay. And when I do like this because y'all can be nosy. I read that next week will be 4 full days, court dark on Tuesday. We'll never get done. We'll never get done. I guess that's an insult to sloths. My apologies. Dave Welsh, member for 4 whole months. I feel at home with my family. Love you. We love you, Dave Welsh. We love you so much. Happy 4-month anniversary. Bri Bear gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Bri Bear. It went to Sherry Smith. Sherry Smith, you were gifted a membership by Bri Bear. Thank you, thank you. Can we talk about the taillight pieces being from the wrong side? So I've only just started getting into that. I told y'all, because I was traveling and stuff, and I missed Monday, and I just started watching it last night and then fell asleep because I was exhausted, and then woke up in the middle of the night. This is why I've only had 3 hours of sleep. Not because I went to bed late. I fell asleep with my laptop in my hand. And I woke up and I got up to go lock my door, and I was walking over here and I slipped and fell because I'm graceful like that. I slipped and fell, and one foot, because I had mopped my floors before I laid down. So everything was slippery. Not wet anymore, just slippery. And I didn't have my house shoes on. And so one foot came out in front of me, and I went down on my knee on my other leg, and it hurt so bad. And when I fell, I was like, this is why old people like me should live with somebody. I need to train Lucy to go get help if something like that happens and then I can't get up. So my knee was hurting so bad I could not go back to sleep. That is why I did not even get any work done. I just laid in bed trying to sleep with my painful knee. And that is not a good use of my time. But that's why I didn't get any sleep last night. But I did try to watch the testimony and stuff from Monday that I missed. And I've noticed a few weird things. So I'm going to have to go today. when we finish, since we have a short day today, I plan on getting work done. Hopefully there's a nap in my future if I get enough done in time and can justify it. But I have thoughts. I have some weird things, but I need to finish watching all of it. There's some stuff that I want to, and also, did I miss something, or is that piece of glass that Proctor, I have to go back because, like I said, I started falling asleep. That piece of glass that Proctor brought, or the piece of glass that Proctor brought, matched only the piece of glass that was on the bumper. But the piece of glass that was on the bumper didn't match the glass from the bar. Is that right? I was watching and I was like, wait a minute. That math ain't mathin'. So I've got to dig into all that for the episode and all the stuff that I missed. But I saw that and I was like, what? Wait a minute. Marie Moss, member for 11 whole months. Ain't enough pencils, but still here counting. Marie Moss, you live here now. We love you. Our official statistician. Thank you for all that you do for us. Thank you. Hello, little bee. Thank you. Nosy Rosie said, I am not nosy. That's not what we heard. Sallyport video flipped. Look on bay door. The floor is backwards. Putting the passenger side and tail light away from the camera. Yes, yes, it is flipped. I posted this on Twitter yesterday too. It is flipped. And that's weird to me. I've never seen a video flipped. Don't know why it's flipped. I know there was some debate about it yesterday, so I went and I found pictures of that Galaxy. It's like a 1965 Galaxy that they have in that other bay door, and verified that writing is on the back of the car and not the front, so it wouldn't have needed to be backwards. So I wanted to go verify just to make sure, and sure enough, yes, that video is definitely flipped. But I don't know why. I think that's very weird. Kitty CT, member for 11 whole months, almost 1 year. My favorite YouTube channel, Bring on Jackson Day. Bring Jackson. Bring it on. Happy, almost 1 year. Happy. Bill King says, Lally will be even worse today because he won't want to pass this one over because he knows what's coming as soon as he says no further questions. Yes, because as soon as Jackson gets his chance at this cross-examination, we're going into a 3-day weekend. So where you have the jury going home for 3 days and you want them just marinating in whatever it is you want to leave them with. So unless Lally stretches this out somehow for 3 more hours and makes all of our lives miserable, Jackson's going to have his say in this for, his cross-examinations for the, going into a 3-day weekend. So that's not a position that the Commonwealth wants to be in. So that'll be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's see. With all the online sleuths out here, can Karen's defense team view the information and use it for defense? Sometimes we see things that they may not catch. Yes, and that happens. Defense teams do, and prosecution, they do pay attention to things that are said on the internet because, millions of eyes on something is a lot more effective than than one eye that, or however many's on the team that are so focused on it. So, So, yes, that happens. Red pen member for 13 months. We need more pencils from Marie Moss. Stat. Yes. Red pen, happy 13-month anniversary. Happy 13 months. Happy. Aussie has a great video this morning about fake time stamp. Ooh, I'll have to watch it after we finish. Good morning. Sandy B, thank you for the super chat. Can't wait for your take on this Sally Port video. Why is it flipped though? That's what I don't know. Why? Why is it flipped? Why? I don't get it. Why? I did not let my knuckles catch me because that's not real life. That was BS. Kind of like how he had never been in a fight. To be clear, I've said I don't think that Colin is involved in this, but I think it was a little bit, I mean, to get up there and just flat out lie was, ugh, these people. And they wonder why nobody trusts anybody. It's ridiculous. I didn't realize how far behind I am. I'm just sitting here just talking. Roxy McFly, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. I tagged you on X on a good taillight analysis. Good pics, and it shows one area of taillight on her car at 5 a.m., but Proctor found it days later. I will have to look.
Was not open and maybe seated.
Could I see counsel at Sidebar about a couple of things, please?
No, Bev. So rude. We just got here, Beverly. Sorry. I get an attitude sometimes. Debbie Blair, member for 12 whole months. It's been an awesome year. Thank you. Let's see who else in there. Let's see. Let's just ow. Oh gosh. Let's be nosy and look. Debbie Blair, happy anniversary. Why is the video flipped? Why? Sylvia 531, why? These are the things we need to know. Inquiring minds want to know. I've never seen a video flip like that unless it's in like selfie mode on a cell phone. So I don't know. God, I am way farther behind than I realized. Oh, goodness gracious. Again? Okay. Brass 6073, thank you for the super chat. A couple of master's lawyers have commented that it is suicide for Lally to not put Proctor on the stand, but defense questioning limited if they call him. So here's the thing. I have said that I think it's a terrible idea for the Commonwealth to not put him on the stand, because not only does it look really bad, like it looks sketchy, as if they need any help looking more sketchy than they already do. It looks sketchy not to have the lead investigator, especially after that explosive opening statement where we heard that he was looking for nudes and stuff like that. I think it sends a message to the jury that, like, I think it looks bad. But also, if they don't call Proctor, the defense will. And think about how much worse that's going to look too, because all of the things that you would think that the defense or the prosecution should want to, like, get ahead of, if they don't, it's going to look so bad, right? Like imagine, it's like they always say, like, attorneys, like, you always hear them talk about how, like, whatever the things are that are bad for them, go ahead and, like, attack it head on, get ahead of it, rip off the Band-Aid, and then let the jury be healing. But if they don't call him, and, like, imagine the first questioning and last questioning being able to be from Jackson. I mean, not that Lally's, like, I mean, whatever, but I think it's bad. It's going to be bad. I think it's going to be bad. So bad. Hello, Nick. Hello. YouTube unsub me. Check your subscription status, folks. It's been doing that to people lately. Everybody's getting, like, I've been getting messages that people are getting unsubbed and they're having to, like, resub, like, once a week or once a day or something. So I don't know why. So weird. But thank you for subbing again. Welcome back. And thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the nudes thing is insane. Couldn't be more unprofessional. It just looks so bad. I mean, everything that they did. And you can tell that they're trying to get as much information as they can in without him being up there. And even that whole ridiculous thing yesterday about how, Bukhenik was like, oh, we do it as a team. There's no I in team. We all have a part in this. Okay. All right, sir. Sit down. You were just trying to get out of having to have Proctor up there. Like, we didn't fall off this turnip truck yesterday. Sandy B, thank you so much for the super chat. Lally, Trooper Proctor, what, if anything, did you find while searching for nudes? These people.
You are unmuted.
These people. Copy that. Hear ye, hear ye.
Hear ye. All persons have any business before the Honorable Beverly Cannoni, Justice of the Norfolk Superior Court, in for the County of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is now open. You may be seated.
God save the Commonwealth.
22117, the Commonwealth
Love
versus
it.
Karen Reed. Can I have the witness, please?
So, good morning again, Counsel and Ms. Reed. Good morning, viewers. We appreciate your patience.
She has to
Giving us
ask you
this
those three
time actually helps
questions.
streamline things today, so we appreciate that. I do have to ask you those three questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case since we left? Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left yesterday? Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left yesterday? No. Thank you very much. Everybody answered those questions appropriately. Okay, can we have Sergeant Bukhenik, please?
Bring him on. Bring him on. Here comes Bev's fake smile. She does have that fake smile in the morning.
Just remain safe.
Like but look, A for effort. A for effort, Bev. She is
You
like,
you ever see the court and jury in the case down here, and she the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
she's trying. And I applaud her for that. She don't want to be there either.
All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Come on, Lally.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Circle back just to a couple things from your testimony from yesterday.
Let's circle back.
Going back to the video that you reviewed from both C.F. McCarthy's and the waterfall. In total, from those two videos, how many drinks did you observe the defendant consuming over her time?
Oh, yeah, because he got that
The video
wrong.
shows 9 drinks being consumed by the defendant.
And that's between when she arrives at C.F. McCarthy's until the time that she leaves the waterfall, is that correct?
That is correct.
And if I could turn your attention to the ring videos from One Meadows Avenue, Mr. O'Keefe's residence. From the videos that you observed, let me ask you first, as far as, do you know how those cameras work as far as when they turn on and when they turn off?
My understanding is that ring surveillance video is triggered to be recorded through motion. So if the camera detects motion, which is constantly live monitoring, and motion is detected, then that video is captured to a cloud-based system that retains that footage.
And from your review of those videos, what kind of motion would set those off? Like what kind of things would be recorded from the driveway camera?
Be activity in the driveway, such as a person walking through, bird landing, a vehicle pulling in, individuals, moving around in the driveway, and so forth.
And the search warrant that was applied for was any and all videos between January 24th and January 30th, correct?
For one of the search warrants, that's correct, yes.
And with respect to that time frame, what, if any, activity based on information that you had received was not available or was not shown on those ring videos?
The data returned had video that would have been captured from the defendant arriving home after midnight on the 29th, after she dropped Mr. O'Keefe off at 34 Fairview Road. That video was not present in the data that was returned from Ring. There was,
what, if any, other video in addition to that one was not present?
there was also video missing from the defendant showing Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts the damage to her right rear taillight.
And what, if any, follow-up or what, if any, inquiry was then done with regard to Ring as far as those types of videos or deletion, or how those videos could not be present?
Correspondence with Ring produced information that
Sustain.
Let me ask this first. Then. Was there follow-up with Ring in regard to those videos?
yes, there was.
And was there ever anything produced with regard to those videos or those time frames from Ring?
No, there was not.
If I could turn your attention over to your time in Dayton, just in reference to subsequent to that later on, what, if anything, did you receive, or what, if anything, did you request, what, if anything, did you receive from the Dayton police in regard to January 29th, 2022?
I communicated with the Dayton Police Department requesting documentation from their officers' calls for service at our request, and log notes, logs from their dispatching center, as well as any reports that would document their activity, if such reports existed.
And did you, what, if any, information did you receive in relation to that?
I received a log note, or log printout from their CAD system, and I received a report authored by Officer Barrows.
And did you also receive any 911 calls?
Yes.
And who was the party as far as the 911 caller in regard to those 911 calls that you received?
It was Mr. Reed.
And again, just for clarity purposes, that's the defendant's father, is that correct?
That is correct.
And that's from the morning of January 29th, is that also correct?
Correct.
Now, sir, if I could turn your attention to February 3rd, 2022. At some point that morning, where did you go?
During the morning hours of February 3rd, we planned to meet at 34 Fairview Road. Myself, Trooper Proctor, and Trooper DeChico arrived at that location in order to conduct a secondary search of the area as the temperatures were turning and the snow was melting naturally. We decided to do another search for articles that were now, we realized and learned, were missing and could be of evidentiary value and aid in the, in the investigation.
And with respect to going to 34 Fairview Road, what, if any, tools or what, if anything, did you bring with you, you and the other troopers, in regard to conducting that secondary search?
I requested the troopers bring shovels, rakes, anything like gardening items that would help them to dig through the snow and locate any missing items.
Leaf blowers?
And as far as the temperature change that you're talking about, how precipitous a change are we talking about?
The temperatures went above freezing, so the snow did begin to melt, and it was significantly warmer compared to the 18 degrees the night of the incident.
Now, you mentioned items of evidentiary value that you had learned of and were looking for. What, if any, clothing items of Mr. O'Keefe were you looking for specifically on February 3rd?
We were specifically looking for Mr. O'Keefe's baseball cap.
And in addition to yourself, Trooper Proctor and Trooper DeChico, who, if anyone else, did you notify, or who, if anyone, from any other unit within the state police responded that day as well?
We requested the assistance of the Crime Scene Services section of the Massachusetts State Police, and Trooper Evan Brent showed up to assist us with documentation of the location and the evidence that we were hopefully going to find.
And from those, Trooper Brent arrived and took photographs, is that correct?
That's correct.
And when was it that Trooper Brent arrived in relation to your arrival?
I believe he was already present when we pulled up, but I'm not sure to his exact time of arrival.
And with regard to that day, what, if anything, in general terms, what, if anything, were you able to locate and where was it, generally speaking?
We located Mr. O'Keefe's baseball hat. We located a drinking straw from a cocktail glass. We located items of plastic, colored plastic, and other shards of colored plastic at the location. All those items were located on the grass portion of the yard near the flagpole at 34 Fairview Road.
And Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Your Honor, may I have a moment?
On the grass portion of the yard near the flagpole. Speak up, Lally. We're trying to eavesdrop.
And Sergeant, I'm going to show you a series of photos, but I'm going to break this up a little bit.
So, Mr. Lally, with your back to the jurors and the air conditioning on, I'm sure they can't hear you.
My apologies.
They can't. They can't hear you.
So, sir, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some photographs, a series of them, but I'm going to break them up a little bit just to make it
Okay, sir.
hopefully quicker.
They can't hear you if you don't speak up.
Sir, first I'm going to show you 10 photographs. Ask if you could review those, look up when you're finished.
They can't hear you. Hear ye, hear ye. I can't hear you. I'm telling y'all, by the time this trial's done, y'all are not going to be able to tell if I'm from Georgia or Boston. I hope it's quicker. Good morning.
Thank you. Do you recognize those, sir?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize those to be?
Those are photographs documented the items located at 34 Fairview Road on the grass as the snow receded through the melting temperatures that were revealed to be positioned in the grass.
And what's contained in those photographs, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what you observed on the front lawn area of 34 Fairview Road on February 3rd?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
No.
I'm also seeking to introduce the minutes and next exhibits.
Any objection, Mr. Jackson?
No objection.
Okay.
Oh, he's fancy today. Paper straws here. Save the turtles. Oh, she had to tell him 9 times yesterday. Hello, welcome. You hadn't missed much yet. You just can't be late again. Although we did hear that the video of Karen showing the damage to the taillight to Carrie and Jen is missing. One of the videos that's missing. They can't find it. Every time somebody talks about the pieces of taillight being sprinkled, I think about that chef that's like with the salt, you know?
Thank you.
Every trial attorney should take voice lessons. My amateur theater years have done wonders for my voice. I believe that.
And Your Honor, with the court's permission, if I could just ask to publish some of these photos. For the
Yes.
Just one moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
Yes, Salt Bay. I've always pictured Taillight Bay as like Salt
Ms.
Bay.
Gilman, if I could start with photograph 7659. And Sergeant, do you recognize what's up on the screen and what's now been marked as Exhibit 468?
I do.
And if you could, just for orientation purposes, describe to the jury whereabouts in relation to 34 Fairview Road we are in this picture.
As standing on the street of Fairview Road, we're looking at the left side of the yard. In the top right corner, you can tell that there is a flagpole depicted in that photograph and a telephone switch box that's open on the left side, which is on the border of 34 Fairview Road.
And if I could ask from this photograph, if you know, grass that's visible on the front lawn area of 34 Fairview Road, is that from a natural melting process, or is that from some of the tools that you and the other troopers brought to assist you in your secondary search?
The reason that grass is exposed is due to processing of the scene and having the snow being moved away from the location, and then natural melting process taking place on top of it. As you can tell, other portions of the yard is covered in snow, and the snow had not, the grass has not revealed itself just yet.
Now, as far as the photographs of various items that were located on this date, February 3rd, the photographs that were taken, were they taken as they lay, or were they touched or manipulated in any way prior to the photograph being taken?
The items photographed were discovered as soon as we realized what is being discovered through the digging and excavation process. They were then photographed instantly. Certain items were revealed naturally through the melting process and the snow, no longer concealing those items underneath.
Thank you. Ms. Gilman, could I have photograph 7666?
Yeah, he said February 3rd.
And again, sir, do you recognize what's up on the screen? It has now been marked as Exhibit 470.
I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
That is a clear black and red piece of plastic.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7669. And Sergeant, do you recognize what's now up on the screen as Exhibit 473?
Yes, that is another piece of plastic.
And towards the top middle of the screen, do you recognize what that is?
Yes, that's a fire hydrant from 34 Fairview Road, grass area.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next photograph, 4670. For the record, this is Exhibit 474. Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, sir.
And is that a closer-up image of what was depicted in the prior exhibit?
Yes, it is.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7672. And sir, do you recognize what's up on the screen, which has now been marked as Exhibit 476?
I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
Another piece of red taillight plastic.
And lastly, from dispatch, Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7673. And again, sir, do you recognize what's up on the screen, depicted in what's now marked as Exhibit 477?
I do.
And what do you recognize that?
That is the fire hydrant and the telephone switch box located on the edge of the property line at 34 Fairview Road.
Now, the photographs that I had just placed before you, having had a chance to review those,
I have.
and do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
I do.
And what do you recognize those?
The property at 34 Fairview Road, left corner towards the street, capturing the flagpole and the telephone switch box.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
No.
Call multiply to introduce and admit as the next exhibit.
No objection.
Okay.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. You can't. A good witness?
Thank you.
Agree to disagree on that one.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, if I could publish a few of the photos from this set.
Okay.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7681. Sergeant, do you recognize what's up on the screen? It has now been marked as Exhibit 481.
I do.
And if you could describe to the jury what's depicted in this photograph.
A red piece of plastic.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next one, 768.
Can you use the pointer to show us where that is, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Oops.
Ms. Ms. Gilman, 7682. And Sergeant, do you recognize what's depicted on the screen and has now been marked as Exhibit 482?
I do.
You know, I'm going to see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please.
Bev sounds super excited. Kyle Brown, today is not a full day. Today is a half day. And I think she said they were actually even going to end a little bit earlier today, I think around 12. That's what they said last week, so. They seem to be allergic to proper process of collecting evidence. Poor things. Mama's mad. Bev's like, I've told y'all. Get through this. Get through this.
You are unmuted.
I'm sorry, Ms. Gilman, 7682. Sergeant, do you recognize what's up on the screen as Exhibit 482?
I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
A red piece of plastic.
Is that the same piece of plastic, the close-up image from the prior exhibit?
Yes, it is.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7684. Sergeant, do you recognize what's up on the screen and is now been marked as Exhibit 484?
I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
A white clear piece of plastic and a red piece of plastic.
And lastly, from this, sir, Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7687. Sir, again, do you recognize what's up on the screen? It's now been marked as Exhibit 487.
I do.
Now, Sergeant, with reference to the photos before you, have you had a chance to review that set of 10 as well?
Not this one yet, not yet.
If you could, please.
Don't be suspicious.
And Sergeant, do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
I do.
What do you recognize those to be?
Items that were located in the street, being the black cocktail drinking straw, and then black pieces of plastic, molding plastic, and clear pieces and molding from taillight.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
No.
Home office, seek to introduce and admit as the next witness.
Any objection, Mr. Jackson?
None, Your Honor.
Speaking of how long does it take to die in the cold, did y'all listen to my last podcast episode with Jen McCabe and her explanation of that? If you haven't, I recommend it. I found something very interesting. Good morning, good morning.
Thank you.
Somebody needs to pass Lally a sticky note and ask him to
Your Honor, with the
talk
court's
at
permission,
1.5
if I
speed.
could display some of these photographs for the jury.
Okay.
Yeah, normally they'll have like a map, like an evidence map where they mark things.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7688.
but nothing about this is normal.
And Sergeant, do you recognize what's up on the screen?
I do.
What do you recognize it to be?
It's the wide shot of the drinking straw being found on the edge of the roadway in front of 34 Ferry Road.
Sergeant, if you could, using the laser pointer before you, if you could direct the jury's attention to where you observed that straw. And Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7689. And Sergeant, what are we looking at in this photograph?
It's a close-up view of the same straw.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7692. And Sergeant, do you recognize what's up on the screen and has now been marked as Exhibit 492?
I do.
And what are we looking at in 492?
Piece of plastic next to a measuring ruler that's provided for comparison and by the crime scene photographer to document the item.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7695. For the record, this is now Exhibit 494. Sergeant, what are we looking at in 494?
It's the same item from just prior, just zoomed in more, showing the detail of the black molding, the clear clear plastic, and red plastic.
Sergeant, as far as those photographs before you, have you had a chance to review those?
Yes, I have.
And do you recognize what those are?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize those to be?
They're pieces of red plastic, pieces of clear plastic, and a piece of glass.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm
No.
about to seek to introduce and admit the next 10 exhibits.
No objection.
Thank you.
Me and Peter say interesting instead of flat out suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. I will tell you a little bit about it when we have a break.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is all from
Your Honor, with
February
the court's
3rd.
permission, if I could publish just a few of these photographs for the jury as well.
Okay.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7700. For the record, this is now Exhibit 498. Sergeant, if you could describe to the jury what we're looking at here.
We're looking at a red piece of plastic next to a measuring ruler on the edge of the grass on the property at 34 Fairview Road by the road.
And if you could, sir, using that laser pointer, just direct the jury's attention to where you observe that item to be in this photograph.
Right there.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7705. And for the record, this is Exhibit 502. And Sergeant, if you could, again, describe to the jury what, if anything, of significance you noted in there.
It's a shard of red plastic next to a measuring ruler.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7708. For the record, this is now Exhibit 504. Again, Sergeant, if you could, using the laser pointer, direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you note in this
What if
area.
anything?
There is a black piece of plastic molding next to a measuring ruler.
And lastly, from this set, Ms. Gilman, exhibit, photo number 7712. Again, for the record, this is Exhibit 508. And again, Sergeant, if you could, using the laser pointer, direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you would note in this.
A clear piece of plastic next to a measuring ruler.
That's found on the grass area as well, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, Sergeant, with reference to that new set of photos before you, have you had a chance to review those?
Yes, I have.
And do you recognize what's contained within those photographs?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize that those photographs to contain?
They contain small red pieces of plastic from 34 Fairview Road on the grass area where we located the others. Also contain a flimsy piece of circular, like very malleable plastic, clear plastic, in addition to that.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Come up, seek to introduce the minutes the next 10 exhibits.
No objection.
Thank you.
Yeah, that straw was like on a, looked like it was on a tire truck. It is on a tire truck. It's a big old stapler. Land the plane, Lally. Did you notice though that yesterday when they were talking about the glass, the one that John had in his hand when they left is a different one than Karen had in her hand when they went
And
over
Your Honor,
there.
may I publish some of these photos for the jury?
Yes.
That was something I didn't notice until yesterday.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7715. For the record, this is now Exhibit 511. Sergeant, direct your attention to the screen, if you could, using that laser pointer, direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you observe in this photograph.
That is the thin, malleable, circular in shape, a piece of clear plastic that was located in the lawn area of 34 Fairview Road.
Is that the one that they tried to show the other day and they objected and wouldn't let it come in yet? It looks kind of like a jellyfish.
Now, lastly, Sergeant, there's that set of photos that I just placed before you. Have you had a chance to review those?
Yes, I have.
And do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize those to be?
There are items. Those are items recovered in the lawn at 34 Fairview Road. Those items are a shard of glass, a BPD baseball hat with an American flag, and stains of blood.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm going to introduce the minutes the next 16
No objection.
exhibits.
Sorry, no objection.
It could be a jellyfish. Oh, did you see that post where a guy found a goldfish in his yard and there's like nothing? Could be like that. Weirder things have happened in this trial. Grumple Mumskin, thank you for the super chat. They need to show evidence of how the plastic got there. We all know it's plastic. I would love an explanation into their theory on this. We are 84 years in and still waiting. Is that the glare sitting at the end with Karen's family? Yes. Yes. bird dropped it. Where'd he get it? Maybe the bird dropped that jellyfish too.
It's 5:18 through 5:30.
5 what?
At the end. Volume.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Your Honor, with the court's, I'm sorry.
Jim.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, may I publish some of these photos for the jury as well?
Yes.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7727. For the record, this is now exhibit 520. And again, Sergeant, if you could direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, significance you observe in this photograph.
I observed a shard of glass next to a measuring ruler.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7729. For the record, this is exhibit 522. And again, Sergeant, if you could describe to the jury what we're looking at here.
It's a larger piece of red plastic with black molding around the edge, located next to the telephone switch box on the grass area at 34 Fairview Road.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7733. For the record, this is exhibit 526. And Sergeant, from this photograph, what, if anything, are we looking at here?
This photograph here depicts the area which we are excavating during the morning hours of February 3rd, 2022. As the shovel works its way towards the grass, my laser pointer is directing your attention to Mr. O'Keefe's hat that was compacted underneath the snow on the ground.
Now, as far as this photograph is concerned, does that accurately depict the depth of the snow that you were digging into and sifting through on the morning of February 3rd?
It does.
And that, again, is several days after the blizzard of January 29th, correct?
That is correct.
And Ms. Gilman, if I can have photograph 7740. For the record, this is exhibit 530. And again, Sergeant, if you could describe to the jury what we're looking at here.
We're looking at Mr. O'Keefe's hat on the grass, pressed down and compacted to a flat surface underneath the snow, which has been excavated around it.
Thank you very much. Ms. Gilman, you can take that down. Thank you, Mr. Ross.
Thanks, Jim.
Sergeant, on February 3rd, 2022, is that the first time that you had been at 34 Fairview Road?
Yes, it is.
And with respect, if I could turn your attention briefly to the following day of February 4th. Did you have occasion to go back to 34 Fairview Road on that day?
Yes, I did.
And what brought you to 34 Fairview Road on February 4th?
Having excavated those items on the 3rd, I directed the troopers in my office, who obviously reside in the communities around us, to make a point to travel by that location every day on the way to work and every day on the way home. The purpose of that was to see if anything else was to reveal itself as the snow naturally melts away and items could present themselves. So on the February 4th, as I am traveling to work, I diverted my typical route of travel to go by 34 Fairview Road. Just prior to my arrival, I received a call stating that there was Kent police representatives at the scene, and more items have been revealed due to the melting snow, and that I should come collect those items. I was down the street. I arrived and collected the item that presented itself.
And if you recall, that item that you collected on February 4th, was that located on the lawn, on the street, or something else?
It was on the lawn.
Now,
They were
reference to your
conflicted
collection
out.
of these items either on February 3rd, February 4th, or on any sort of subsequent date, how were they collected and what exactly did you do with them in reference to the seizing of the items and storage of the items?
Each item that was collected was placed in a evidence paper bag. The collection was done by utilizing latex gloves to prevent any transfer of evidence from fingerprints to DNA onto those items. Then those items were transported to our office, logged into the system, and stored in the evidence lockers at the office.
And each of those respective bags of items or evidence, they were sealed as well, is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, turning your attention to February 10th of 2022, did you have occasion to go back to 34 Fairview Road on that day as well?
I did.
And what, if anything, did you observe, or what, if anything, did you seize on that particular day?
We seized more shards of glass and plastic.
And if you know or if you recall, how many pieces did you seize on that particular day?
My memory is exhausted to that, but the exact numbers annotated in on the bags that the items were placed into.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
No. There's no reason that Canton PD, who is conflicted out of this, should be on
that section
scene
and look up on
looking for stuff. No. No. That's not how any of this works. It's like the old ladies in the Facebook commercial. That's not how any of this works. God, that's infuriating.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
No.
Sergeant, is your memory refreshed
Sit down.
as to how many items or what the items were that you recovered on February 10th?
Yes, it is.
And what were those items and how many, sir?
There was 6 items of clear red and black plastic and 14 items of plastic and glass.
Now, in addition to the dates that you were present at 34 Fairview Road and recovered items, them being February 3rd, February 4th, and February 10th, were there other dates that you're aware of that items were recovered by troopers that you supervised?
Yes.
And if you recall, what were those dates?
The dates were January 29th, February 11th, and February 18th.
Were there items recovered on February 8th as well?
Yes.
Now, as far as your direction or having, let me first start with you. So on the dates that you were there, February 3rd, 4th, and 10th, were you alone on those dates, or were there other troopers with you when you were there?
On the 4th, I was alone as far as state police personnel. There were other Canton law enforcement representatives at the scene with me as I collected that one item. On the other days, I was accompanied by other troopers.
And as far as you know, obviously not being present, but from your supervision of these troopers, were there other occasions where individuals were at 34 Fairview Road? Were they alone or were they with a group of troopers?
Objection.
Sustained.
He doesn't know. You can't. That's cause for
Now,
speculation.
as far as the items that were recovered when you were there on February 3rd, February 4th,
His
and
state.
February 10th, did you have occasion to bring those items with you to court today?
Yes, I did.
And Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
No.
I'm presenting you with a box. First, just ask if you recognize that box.
I do.
And what do you recognize that?
It's the box storing items logged into evidence as they relate to this case.
And, Your Honor, with court's permission, may the sergeant open the box?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, first, Sergeant, with regard to the items as far as plastic and/or glass that you recovered from 34 Fairview Road on February 3rd, if you could locate those items.
Okay, and that I think is BS. It makes zero sense to be like, you know what, I'm too conflicted to interview somebody, but I'm not too conflicted to be all up on their lawn looking for pieces of plastic taillight. No. It's...
And Sergeant, with respect to each of those bags, they contain items of evidentiary value, whether they be plastic or glass, that were recovered on February 3rd. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I'm sorry, how many bags in total do you have there before you?
I have 3 bags, 2 containing broken glass and plastic, and a steering straw, broken red plastic and clear plastic, and a bag containing 1 black Boston Police Department hat.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth will seek to introduce in minutes the next 3 exhibits.
No objection.
Okay.
No particular order.
Victoria, welcome. Welcome. Can't believe police had no business doing anything. Agreed.
536.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Your Honor, with respect to what's now been marked as Exhibit 537, with the court's permission, may the sergeant remove that item, the hat, from the bag and display for the jury.
Yes.
On Monday. Let's do a poll. Start a poll. Do you think we will get to cross today? Yes? No.
Thank you, sir. You can place that back in the bag.
Easy on the microphone. I had high hopes for it, and then Lally started lallying.
And Sergeant, from your observations of Mr. O'Keefe on surveillance video from both C.F. McCarthy's and the waterfall on January 29th, what, if any, similarities did you observe between the hat that you just displayed and located on the lawn of 34 Fairview Road and the hat Mr. O'Keefe is wearing in those videos?
It appears to be the same exact hat.
Now, Sergeant, with reference to the box of other items, if you could remove what, if any, items you recovered and seized from 34 Fairview Road on February 4th. And again, sir, just for the record, what's contained within that bag from February 4th?
Contained within the bag is a piece of red, hard plastic taillight cover.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth will seek to introduce in a minute the next exhibit.
No objection.
Thank you.
Exhibit 538.
And lastly, Sergeant, with regard to the box, if you could remove the items that you seized from February 10th, 2022. And Sergeant, with respect to those 2 bags of items, if you could just inform the jury what is contained within those bags.
Bag labeled item number 10 contains 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic. Bag labeled number 11 is containing 14 pieces of glass and plastic fragments.
Thank you, Sergeant. Your Honor, the Commonwealth will seek to introduce and admit as the next 2 exhibits.
Any objection, Mr. Jackson?
I'm sorry. No, Your Honor. Thank you.
5:39 and 5:40.
I'm sorry, was that 5:39 and 5:40?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
You say that, Joey
Moving
H.
on from that, if I could bring you back just one last time to the ring videos from One Meadows Ave, as far
One
as
last
you
time?
testified earlier that there was no video that you observed of the defendant, Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts, looking at the passenger side taillight area of the vehicle, correct?
That's correct.
Was there any video of the defendant, Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts, actually leaving from One Meadows Ave on that morning of January 29th?
There was not.
Now, as far as the videos that were not there, as far as the defendant, Ms. McCabe, Ms. Roberts leaving, the next video depicted Mr. Camerano arriving at the residence to pick up Ms. Furbush, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And with regard to the missing video of the defendant arriving at One Meadows Ave on January 29th, sometime after midnight, the video immediately preceding that, again, would have been Mr. Camerano arriving and picking up his daughter from One Meadows Avenue sometime around 11:30 p.m., correct?
That's correct.
And those videos were both present, correct?
That's correct.
If I could bring you back to February 3rd, 2022. On that date, did you have occasion to meet with a gentleman by the name of Brian Higgins?
Yes, I did.
And when you met with Mr. Higgins, who, if any, one from your office was with you when you met?
Trooper Mike Proctor was from my office present during that interview.
And during the course of that interview, what, if any, documentation did Mr. Higgins provide you with?
Mr. Higgins provided me with a printout of a Celebrate extraction containing conversations via text message between him and Mr. John O'Keefe and between him and the defendant. He also provided a digital copy of the same extraction on a CD.
Now, what, if anything, did you advise Mr. Higgins of at that time as far as Mr. O'Keefe's phone and the defendant's phone?
I advised Mr. Higgins that we were in possession of both of those devices and would have the extraction and accurate documentation of those conversations.
And did he seem to understand that when you told him?
Yes, he understood it.
Objection.
Sustained.
Pause for speculation.
Strike that, folks.
You can't say what
Now,
somebody
also
else
on
understood.
February 3rd, at some point, did you have occasion to go inside of 34 Fairview Road?
Yes, I did.
And who, if anyone, did you interview inside of 34 Fairview Road on that date?
I interviewed Mrs. Albert.
That would be, just for the record, Nicole Albert, is that correct?
That's correct.
And who, if anyone, was present with you during that interview of Nicole Albert?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor was present with me.
Anybody else from the Albert family present in the home or present during the course of that interview?
Mr. Brian Albert was also present. I don't know who else exactly was present in the home. I just know that those two residents were in the room with us.
And where was Brian Albert at the time that you conducted the interview of Nicole Albert?
In the room with us, seated next to her.
Now, with reference to, I'm going to ask you just a little bit about sort of the interview process as far as the interviews that you conducted in this case.
Yes.
If you could describe for the jury, starting with sort of how many people from your unit are present for a given interview and how those interviews are conducted.
We conduct interviews always at pairs. I think I mentioned it yesterday. Typically, during a regular investigation into a homicide or any death investigation, we pair up our troopers with a local detective. In this instance, since Canton had recused themselves from interview portion of the investigation, they were not going to provide manpower for those interviews to be conducted. Thus, we had to utilize only troopers from our office in order to conduct those interviews.
And typically, obviously not perfect, but as far as the interviews that you were present for, about how long a period of time, generally speaking, were the interviews that you conducted in this case? From
my experience, I have learned that to fully communicate a course of recollection of events that an individual observes, experiences, or is aware of, and understand every detail of that experience. It would take approximately 45 minutes at a minimum to conduct a full interview with a witness in detail.
Now, sir, if I could turn your attention to June 9th of 2022.
But so many of them are like 10
on that
15
date,
minutes.
at some point, did you have occasion to meet with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And at some point during that meeting, did you have conversation with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And was that conversation, or at least portions of it, memorialized in any way?
Yes, it was.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you a disc. Does that contain an audio recording, to the best of your knowledge? Does that contain an audio recording of a portion of your conversation with Ms. Reed on June 9th, 2022?
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'll call the Chief to introduce the minutes of the next exhibit.
All right. No objection, Mr. Jackson?
Objection.
All right, folks, before we play this, again, please be mindful of the instruction from yesterday. So you're about to hear statements allegedly made by the defendant, allegedly concerning the crimes with which she's charged in this case. Before you can consider any such statement as evidence, the Commonwealth must prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant made the statement she's alleged to have made and that she made it voluntarily, freely, and rationally. In determining whether the statement made by the defendant was voluntary or not, you may consider all the surrounding circumstances. These include when and where the statement was made, the nature of any conversations with the police or any questioning by the police, the defendant's physical and mental condition, including her intelligence, age, education, experience, and personality. Your decision does not turn upon any one factor, and you must consider the totality of the surrounding circumstances.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, may we publish that for the jury at this time?
Yes, do you want to turn off the air conditioning? Is this very short, right?
It is very short, and if we could, please, yes.
Yeah.
They didn't interview, they didn't record any
And this
of
is just audio, correct?
the interviews until Lucky, the snowplow driver. And that's because they wanted to get it on record because they were trying to get information against Turtle Boy.
You're aware that you speed up my brain and calm out breath. We're all in on the same joke, right? My tail end was cracked and John was pulverized.
Thank you. Now, Sergeant, upon hearing that statement from the defendant, what was your reaction?
Objection.
Sustained.
Upon hearing that statement, what, if anything, did you do?
I advised the defendant not to further speak.
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Now, at some point over the course of your investigation, were you made aware of forensic findings relating to the defendant's tail?
Yes, I was.
And specifically DNA findings?
Yes.
And specifically that there were...
Objection.
Sustained. Yes. You can turn the air conditioner.
That was the the body cam. That wasn't even a recorded interview. That was from the body cam from when they arrested her after they upgraded the charges from manslaughter to second-degree murder. That's the one, for those of you who have been following along with this, that's the one where she they played it in the pretrial hearing, and Lally said that it was huge because Lally brought it up in the morning and said that she said something on the body cam about how she saw Brian Albert and Colin Albert bash. I can't remember exactly how he said it. Something about how she said that she saw them bash John's head into the taillight or something. So we were all like,
You are
"What?"
unmuted.
And of course, that's not what she said. But then they played it that afternoon after everybody had
I'm back. Have one moment.
gone crazy
Yes.
over it. Oh yeah, I feel terrible for his mom.
So
And for
Sergeant
his whole
Bukhenik,
family.
on January 16th, 2024, at some point in that day, did you meet with a Sergeant Gallerani of the Needham Police Department?
I did.
And who, if anyone else, well, let me ask you this. As far as any other troopers from your office, who, if anyone else, was there with yourself and Sergeant Gallerani?
Trooper Mike Proctor.
And what was the purpose of your meeting with Sergeant Gallerani, Trooper Proctor, on that morning?
Collection of our DNA.
And was that something that you did voluntarily?
Yes.
And how was it that the sergeant collected your DNA?
Through a buccal swab.
And were you present when Trooper Proctor submitted to a buccal swab as well?
Yes, I was.
And then as far as the swabbings that were taken from both yourself and Trooper Proctor, were those logged into evidence by you, or did Sergeant Gallerani take them with him when he left?
Sergeant Gallerani took him with it when he left.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
The reason it was a big deal is because it was he had said that she said that she witnessed Brian and Colin smashing John's head into the taillight, which would be a huge thing for her to have said, but that's not what she said. What she said was, "You're aware that he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert." And then she said, "My taillight is cracked and John is pulverized," which is the same thing that she's basically saying the same thing that the defense theory is. So it wasn't like this. It was not accurate what was said.
That's okay.
Thank you very much, Sergeant. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay.
Bam!
Thank
Cross-examination?
you, Your Honor.
Here we go. Here we go.
Sergeant Bukhenik, I want to start with one of the latter things that you discussed with Mr. Lally, and that's specific to the ring video that y'all talked about this morning. Do you have that in mind?
I do.
The search warrant that produced, and just so we're clear, I'm talking about the specific ring video or series of videos that were associated with One Meadows, John O'Keefe's home.
Okay.
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 You didn't write the search warrant for those ring videos, did you?
I did not.
You were not the affiant for those search warrants.
I was not.
Who was the author of the search warrant and the affiant?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor.
Who received the actual ring video or videos from the Ring Corporation?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor received it.
And who ultimately either logged those into evidence or controlled those once they were received from the Ring Corporation?
I believe it was Trooper Mike Proctor.
And ultimately, Sergeant Bukhenik, you did note that in addition to just the physical videos themselves, that login information and login keystrokes, et cetera, were requested from the Ring Corporation as well, correct?
There was discussion with Ring asking for those logs.
I'll call it, is it correct to say an activity log?
That's what was requested, yes, activity log, yes.
So ultimately, the activity log would show who logs in, who accesses the data, things of that nature, correct? Or at least that was the hope.
That is what was requested.
All right. It would also show logging in and executing deletions, manipulating the log files, things of that nature, correct?
That is what was requested, yes.
When you reviewed those log or activity logs, there was no evidence revealed that my client ever logged into that account, correct?
There was no activity logs provided by Ring.
So you have zero, hang on.
I wonder why I can't they provide that?
Isn't it true that Ring contacted Trooper Proctor and indicated that they had created a Dropbox folder that contained the evidence that had been sought in the search warrant?
Objection.
Sustained.
Isn't it true that the search warrant return specified account information, video recordings, and number 3, activity logs associated with the video recordings for all times displayed in UTC?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Do you recall that activity logs were in fact provided from the Ring Corporation?
I do not recall that, no.
Okay. May I approach briefly?
Yes.
Gotta call Proctor.
Take a look, Sergeant, at that paragraph, which my finger's on. It's about the 3rd paragraph down, the middle of the page, and review that to yourself and let me know when you're finished.
I love when they tell him to look and then look up. Like, look at this and then make eye contact with me. Stare lovingly into my eyeballs when you're done, and we'll discuss. Let's say the 6th. Look faster. We're on a time crunch here.
Have you had an opportunity to review that?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
He didn't come here to read.
Does this refresh your recollection as to the items received from the Ring Corporation?
That is the first time I saw that document, so it does not refresh my recollection. I simply read it.
So do you have a recollection as you sit here that in fact during the course of your investigation, the 3 items that you received from the Ring Corporation were the account information, the video recordings, and quote, activity logs associated with the video recordings, all times displayed in UTC?
To the extent of its availability, as it says in that document.
Okay. The long and short of it is, during the entire course of your investigation, you never revealed that investigation never revealed any evidence whatsoever that my client ever even accessed the account information for the Ring account associated with this search warrant, correct?
Nothing provided by Ring proved or suggested or proved any evidence of that type of activity, no.
Thank you. Trooper Proctor, you were notified.
I am not Trooper Proctor.
I'm sorry. No, you're not. Sergeant Bukhenik.
Sergeant Bukhenik.
How do I say it?
Bukhenik.
I'll give that a shot.
It's fine.
Bukhenik?
Yes.
Is that better?
That's better. Thank you.
If I screw it up again, please. On January 29th, you were notified about a Boston police officer found gravely injured outside the home of 34 Fairview at about 6:40 in the morning. Was that your testimony?
That is not.
What time were you notified?
I was not notified it was a Boston police officer.
So you didn't have that information upon the first notification?
I did not.
Okay, what information did you have?
There was a male party in the snowbank, possibly of a heart attack.
At what point did you learn that the individual was, in fact, a sworn Boston police officer?
I do not know exactly when I learned that he was a Boston police officer.
I think it was during that day or the following day?
It was most likely that day, either, yeah.
Fair enough. Trooper Proctor was ultimately assigned as the, what did you call him? Not lead investigator, but case officer?
That's correct.
He was assigned on the 29th, correct?
He was on call from 7 a.m. on January 28th until 7 a.m. on January 29th.
So his assignment was, he was assigned on the 29th because he was on call?
He was on call. His assignment took effect when the schedule came out back in mid-December.
Okay. Well, he wouldn't be assigned to this investigation until there was a need for the investigation, right? That's all I'm getting to. I mean, once the call came in, he was the assigned case agent.
Once the calls come in, the person that's on call is automatically assigned that case.
All right. Did you personally, as his supervisor, did you personally respond to 34 Fairview at any point on January 29th?
No, I did not.
Did Trooper Proctor, at your direction or on his own, ever respond to 34 Fairview Road at any time on January 29th?
No, he did not.
Based on your initial investigation, and I'm talking about going way back, Sergeant, on your initial investigation, by 10 or 10:30 in the morning, 10:40 in the morning, it was your belief that Mr. O'Keefe had been struck in the face by a person. That was your initial understanding of the circumstances surrounding the investigation, correct?
My initial understanding was that the defendant stated that she hit him. We did not know the...
Sergeant, you hadn't even met my client at that point. You hadn't interviewed a single witness by 10:41 in the morning, correct? Not one witness.
That's not correct. We had already interviewed the first responders.
Okay, when I say witness, I'm talking about civilian witnesses. So at 10:41, you hadn't interviewed a person at 34 Fairview or associated civilians associated with this incident, correct?
At that point, no civilians have been interviewed, no.
But at 10:41, Sergeant, you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital to inform them that, quote, Mr. O'Keefe was struck in the face with a cocktail glass, end quote, correct?
I do not recall contacting Good Samaritan Hospital.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'd like you to take a look at this document, and if you wouldn't mind, pay special attention to the second page, the bottom paragraph where it's tabbed in pink.
Yeah, Jackson's one like Mark the Shark, where if I'm ever in trouble, I would want him repping me. He's a very good attorney. No court tomorrow. We'll be back Monday. Good morning. Take your time. We got till noon. We'll just wait here. Chapter 4. Passive aggressive reading speed. It's like, you know what? We'll just stay here until
May I approach?
Yes.
the end of the day.
Thank you, sir. Having reviewed this, does this refresh your recollection that you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital and gave them an assessment, at least based on your investigation at that time?
That is not true.
What did you say to Good Samaritan Hospital?
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital. That document is from the medical examiner's office.
I'm not asking you where the document is from. I'm asking you if the document says Trooper Yuri Bukhenik called back at 10:41 stating the case is now being treated as a suspicion.
The objection sustained.
Did you call back to Good Samaritan Hospital and say that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious due to a domestic situation? Did you say that?
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital.
Did you say that there's a possibility that D was struck in the face with a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you ever contact anybody at any medical facility and indicate that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious, in quotation marks, because the victim appeared to have been struck in the face by a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Allow that. Did you ever say that?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, I did say that to the medical examiner's operations desk.
Okay, so when I was asking you if you ever sent it to Good Sam, and you said, no, that's not true, that's never happened, you were correcting me on the fact that it happened at the medical examiner's office, not at Good Sam.
I responded and answered your question honestly, yes.
Okay, so honestly, you did, in fact, at 10:41 a.m., indicate to another professional involved in the investigation that the circumstance was being treated as a physical assault at that point, correct?
I communicated our suspicions to the medical examiner's office.
And that was at 10:41 or thereabouts in the morning, correct?
That's correct.
Your initial investigation during those obviously critical hours, the beginning hours, led you to believe that there was at least a good possibility, you indicated that you made a phone call, that it was a physical altercation that led to John O'Keefe's death, correct?
That's correct, yes.
What steps did you take, sir, in those moments, to determine whether someone in the house at 34 Fairview may have been involved in that physical altercation that you suspected at the time?
As investigations develop, we followed the evidence and statements made. The steps I took was Trooper Proctor and I proceeded to an eyewitness who was also present at the scene when the victim was discovered and interviewed Ms. McCabe.
And prior to that, prior to interviewing Ms. McCabe, by the way, that was at Ms. McCabe's home, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Even though you believe that there may have been a physical altercation, you didn't ask anybody to come down to the station. Is that right? Any of the witnesses?
That's correct.
And you did not seek to actually go to the physical location of 34 Fairview in those next few hours,
That's correct.
or the next few days, correct?
Not myself, no.
Okay. As a matter of fact, Trooper Proctor did not either, did he?
No, he did not.
You didn't secure the interior of the house as a potential crime scene. You certainly know how to do that, right?
That's a compound question. Do you want me to answer whether I did it or whether I know how to do it?
Well, I'll ask the question. If you can answer it, please answer it.
That was
Okay.
compound.
Can you answer that question?
I can answer that question.
Why don't you answer both of them then?
First portion is we did not secure the home as a crime scene. And the second portion, yes, I do know how to do that.
And you didn't, as a Massachusetts State Police official, you didn't secure the outside as a crime scene either, did you?
I did not know.
To your knowledge, nobody else from Massachusetts State Police ever did either, did they?
Yes, they did.
How was that done and when?
When members of our office and the CERT team responded to that location and secured the front yard grass area and processed it.
That was at 5:45, 6 o'clock that night on the 29th?
I believe it was earlier, but I was not present, so I can't testify to the time.
So you don't know personally what they did to quote unquote secure or not secure the crime scene. You know they searched it, but in terms of securing it as a crime scene, you don't have personal knowledge to that.
I was not present.
Okay. You never took any photos of the interior of the house, correct?
I did not know.
You never caused CSSS to go inside the house and process that house as a potential crime scene, correct?
I did not, no.
No forensic criminalist at your direction ever went into 34 Fairview?
No, they did not.
And the people that you interviewed on January 29th, you already mentioned Ms. McCabe. The other people were her husband, Matt McCabe, correct?
That's correct.
And her brother-in-law, Brian Albert. Is that right?
That is correct.
And all three of them were interviewed where?
They were interviewed at the McCabe residence.
Now, yesterday when you testified, did you indicate that Brian Albert was not present in the home when you interviewed Matt McCabe and Jennifer McCabe?
He was not present in the dining room when we were interviewing each individual separately.
So if all three of them testified that he arrived before you arrived, they would all be wrong.
I did not see him in the home when we arrived, no.
I want to switch gears real quick to a couple of the physical items that you testified about yesterday, specifically the gray shirt or the gray hoodie and the orange shirt. You and Trooper Proctor collected both of those items you indicated from the floor of the hospital at Good Samaritan, correct?
That's correct.
You testified that you and Trooper Proctor immediately bagged both of those items. They were sort of sopping wet, I think you said.
That's correct.
You indicated that the bags were so wet that you had to take the items back out of the bags and then lay them out on, I think you said, butcher paper. Is that right?
The items were soaked and wet. They were bagged, double bagged, to prevent leakage of physiological fluids and the moisture coming off of it. And then once they were transported to the office, they were laid out on butcher paper in order to dry naturally.
So you went from Good Samaritan directly to Dighton, correct?
That is correct.
And then you went from Dighton directly to the Canton Police Department, after which you had seized the vehicle, correct? And the phone.
We seized the phone in the vehicle in Dayton and then followed the tow truck straight to the Canton Police Department.
So at some point, if you had received or gathered the wet clothing at Good Sam, went from Good Sam to Dayton to Canton PD, at what point that evening did you finally get those items of clothing out and laid out to dry?
It was late that night, around 10 or so.
So where were the items in the meantime?
They were stored in the back passenger compartment of my pickup truck.
In those double bags.
Correct.
Who took control of the items to then lay them out late that night at the office?
I do not recall.
Was that you or Trooper Proctor?
I don't recall. I don't remember.
At some point, obviously, it was getting late. You'd been on duty for a long time that day. You went home at some point, correct?
At some point, yes.
Did you wait for those clothes to dry before you went home, or did you leave that in Trooper Proctor's hands?
No, once they were laid out in the processing area in the office, we went home.
Okay. Who would have controlled those items of evidence when you left?
Well, they're under lock and key within the secure area of the district attorney's office, so they're secured. Nobody's in physical control watching guard over them.
Who had access to that area?
Troopers in our office.
Meaning you, obviously.
Yes.
Supervisor. Trooper Proctor as well, correct?
Yes, yes.
Ultimately, given the fact that he was the case officer, sort of in charge, the lead, he would have bagged those items up, been responsible for taking those items, tagging them, getting them stored wherever they needed to be stored and processed, correct?
As a case officer, he could direct other people to perform those tasks for him. The evidence officers in the office log in the evidence, and once it was dried, it was sealed up, bagged, and put into storage. As far as who actually performed those tasks, I do not know.
Well, yesterday, Your Honor, may I approach the courts, right? There's a couple of evidence.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
They're going to have to call Proctor.
It's not a vision contest. I'll bring these up to you in just a second, but just for familiarity's sake, do you recognize these two bags as bags that you brought to court with you yesterday?
They look familiar, yes.
Okay. This one has a 437 on it on my right. The one on my left has a 438 on it. May I approach briefly?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you to open those. Don't worry about gloving up at this point. The bag on your left, which one is that, 437 or 438?
The bag on my left is 437.
437, okay. And you indicated that those items were bagged after the clothing was dried and then ultimately processed in, logged in, correct?
Once the items dried, they were bagged and logged in, waiting processing, yes.
But you didn't personally do that?
No, I did not, no.
Matter of fact, looking at the bag on your right, what's been marked as Exhibit 430, help me? 438, thank you. That one has some writing on it, correct?
Yes, it has a lot of hand writing on it, yes.
And whose handwriting is that?
I don't know.
You've seen Trooper Proctor's handwriting 1,000 times, I guess, correct?
Not 1,000 times, but
Does it look like his writing?
it says Trooper Proctor on it, but other than that, I do not know what Trooper Proctor's handwriting looks like.
All right. It indicates that Trooper Proctor is the one that bagged that item or those items up, correct?
Yes, this bag indicates that the item was collected by Trooper Proctor on 129.
Right.
At 10.
And it says Brockton, correct?
Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, yes.
You just took the question out of my mouth. That's where Good Samaritan Hospital is, correct?
That's correct.
And there's a tag or a printed label, looks like a label maker of some sort, that is on that physical bag, correct?
Yes.
Before we get to that, what's the description on that bag in handwriting?
I'm sorry, can you be specific as to description of what, or?
Where it says description of items.
Description of enclosed evidence?
Correct.
It says 1 orange T-shirt, 1 gray long sleeve shirt.
Okay. So may I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
And before I do that, just so I close this loop, what's the description on the bag to your left, the one that looks like it's less wrinkled?
Number 437?
Yes, if you would read the same clothing description.
The description of enclosed evidence states sweatshirt with recovered items inside container.
Okay. May I approach now?
Yes.
Thank you.
No.
Yesterday when you opened, I'll keep my voice up. Yesterday when you opened these two bags, this one, 437, has the gray sweatshirt in it. 438 has the orange T-shirt in it now, correct?
That's what was in the bag, yes.
All right. However, the bag indicates at one point, this bag, 438, the physical bag I'm holding in my left hand, had both the sweatshirt and the T-shirt together, correct?
That's what the description is. I do not know if that was in case or in fact the case.
Well, if it's labeled, what a...
The reason you don't know is because you're not the one that bagged them. Trooper Proctor did, correct?
The reason I don't know is I wasn't present during the separation of those items, and I did not observe it taking place, nor was I made aware of how the items were separated or when.
You are aware, however, that tag that's on the label maker looking tag, the white tag that's on that bag indicates that indicates a date of February 4th, correct?
You'd have to bring that back up.
I'm sorry.
I didn't take note of that.
My fault. May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Just direct your attention to the tag and the date associated with that tag.
The label maker tag does have the date February 4th, 2022 on bag number exhibit 438.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Yep.
That's obviously 6 days after the item was actually recovered on the 29th, correct?
Yes, it is.
So that indicates, at least based on that tag, that that item was not booked into evidence and processed until 6 days after it was actually recovered on the floor at Good Samaritan Hospital. Is that right?
The date indicates February 4th, 2022.
Right, and that date would be indicative, in your experience, of the date that it's moved into processing by some other folks, the evidence sergeants or whomever, or the evidence officers rather, or whomever, correct?
I can't speak to their procedures as far as when they print the date. That date could be when they printed the label, but the bag might have been tagged otherwise. I do not know that.
But there's no other tag on that bag that suggests an earlier date, correct?
There's just that one tag from the label maker.
My question to you, if you know, sir, and you may not know, is what was happening to these items between January 29th, after you lost sight of them that night on the butcher paper, and February 4th, when that tag indicates that they were first processed?
To the best of my knowledge, those items were drying on the butcher paper.
For 6 days?
If that's what the label maker says, yes, for 6 days. They were soaking wet.
And those would have been certainly accessible to and in the possession of the lead case officer in the case, who's Trooper Proctor, right?
Yes, if Trooper Proctor needed to review those items, he would have access to those items. Absolutely.
And you're also aware that the first actual log of any chain of custody for those items is March 14th, when they were finally submitted 6 weeks later to the crime lab.
That is not true. The first actual log of those items is when we collected them from the hospital.
Where's the log? I'm talking about a physical log, like sign in, sign out log. Where's the log?
It's documented in the reports saying that we collected them.
I know that there's a report. Anybody can write a report, right? I could write a report. Doesn't mean anything. I'm asking for a log.
Objection.
So the objection sustained.
Obviously, when items move in and out of people's custody in an official capacity for the Massachusetts State Police, there's a log of that, correct?
It's documented, yes.
Or at least it should be, correct?
It's documented.
Where's the log of these items before March 14th?
It's documented in the report.
There is no log, is there, Sergeant?
I do not know.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about some searches that Mr. Lally asked you about, February 4th and February 10th, very specifically. Both of those searches you were involved with out at 34 Fairview, correct?
Correct.
But, Sergeant, you didn't personally write a report about your conduct at 34 Fairview on either of those 2 dates. In other words, you didn't go back to the station and generate a report yourself.
I don't recall doing that, no.
There were no photos that you took of the items at the location.
I did.
Else took photos, correct?
I did not take photos of the items. No.
Okay. And the first report that indicates anything that happened or was recovered at the location on either February 4th or February 10th, that was first notated in a report dated November 4th, 2023, year and several months later, correct?
If you say so, I do not know the exact date. That report would have to be presented to me.
May I approach?
Yes.
No.
You don't have to read the whole thing, but if you can skip to the part that talks about the February 4th and February 10th searches. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were finished already. What's the date of that? Well, let me ask a foundational question. Does that refresh your recollection as to the date of the report that actually talks about the February 4th and February 10th searches?
It does.
And what's the date of that report, sir?
This report is dated November 4th, 2023.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, as it relates to those 2 searches, I'd like to ask you a little bit about the February 4th search first. You indicated that you actually responded to 34 Fairview personally, correct?
I was responding to that location on my own. I personally responded, yes.
Okay. That was because you had received information that Chief Berkowitz had seen something or found something. Is that right? Chief Berkowitz from Canton PD.
That is not correct, no.
Okay. So when you got there, was Chief Berkowitz there?
Yes, he was.
You just happened to go by 34 Fairview at the exact same time on the exact same date as Chief Berkowitz, or was that coordinated in some way?
There was no coordination between me and Chief Berkowitz. As I testified, I had directed the troopers to go by the location. I planned to go by the location in the morning on the way to the office and in the afternoon on the way home, just to see if any more items would reveal themselves. So that morning, I was actually traveling to that location in order to conduct a view of the area to see if any more evidence had been revealed. Prior to my arrival, approximately while I was on Chapman Street, I received a call indicating that Chief Berkowitz was at the location, yes.
And was there also an Officer Lank, a Sergeant Lank?
I do not know if Sergeant Lank was there, no.
Okay. Chief Berkowitz certainly was there.
Yes,
And Chief Berkowitz indicated that as he was driving by, he saw a piece of plastic.
yes.
And stopped his car and then started making phone calls.
I believe that's what he indicated to the caller, yes.
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about why he was driving by the location in the first place?
Absolutely not.
Okay, you knew at that point that the Canton Police Department had been recused because of at least an appearance or
Is that
potential for
absolutely
conflict
not?
of interest,
I'm
correct?
done.
I knew they recused themselves due to only in respect to interviews. They didn't want to conduct interviews with us side by side.
I mean, if there's conflict of interest, Sergeant, for a department, conducting the interviews is just one aspect of an investigation, correct?
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not going to speak to a conflict of interest, but yes, conducting an interview is just one aspect of the investigation, yes.
So is it your testimony that your understanding was they couldn't conduct interviews, but they could collect evidence, store evidence, write search warrants, get returns on search warrants, execute search warrants, conduct searches? They could do all that but not conduct interviews?
My understanding was they were recusing themselves from conducting interviews. They still allowed us to use their facilities. We utilized their conference room to conduct interviews. There was evidence being stored at their Sally Port, being the vehicle. So that was my understanding.
Isn't it true that you knew that the entirety of the Canton Police Department had recused itself because of a familiarity between one of their members, Kevin Albert, and the Albert family on whose lawn John O'Keefe was found? That was the conflict, correct?
I knew that was the connection between them, yes.
And you understood, sir, that that agency was to have nothing, from an investigative standpoint, nothing to do with this investigation, correct?
They were not conducting the investigation, no.
Matter of fact, Trooper Proctor and you supervising him, y'all were conducting the investigation, right?
Our office was conducting the investigation.
So did you find it unusual or suspicious in any way that the chief of police for the conflicted Canton PD was the person driving by 34 Fairview looking for evidence?
Objection. Can you answer that question, Sergeant?
He would have to repeat it. There's just so much I can't.
It was a little wordy. I'll try it again. Did you find that suspicious?
Which part? You have to repeat the whole thing.
That Chief Berkowitz from the conflicted Canton PD was at 34 Fairview looking for evidence.
The way you posed the question, I did not find it suspicious at all. He's the chief of the police in the town where he works, and he's driving down the street. I mean, that's not suspicious.
With a conflict of interest on the very case that he's driving by.
Objection. Sustained.
You certainly knew, as a supervisor over the case officer, that any involvement by Canton Police Department, given the fact that there's a potential conflict, any involvement by them could compromise your otherwise clean investigation. You knew that, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Did Chief Berkowitz disclose to you that morning on February 4th that he had been communicating with Brian Higgins and Brian Albert, two witnesses on your case that morning?
Objection. Sustained.
If you knew information about communication between and among Canton PD and your witnesses, you would find that inappropriate, would you not?
Objection. Sustained.
You returned to the scene on February 10th, is that right? To conduct another search, you said.
I was present on the 10th, yes.
Who dispatched you back to, or did anybody dispatch you back to that location on February 10th? How did you end up there is a better way to ask it.
February 10th, just like previous days, we made plans to go to the location in the morning, in the afternoon, drive by. I was on my way to work and to home. So I traveled that route on purpose. And as evidence revealed itself due to the natural melting of the snow, we would stop and collect the visible evidence.
You believed at this point, sir, that whatever you might collect at the scene would obviously be important, correct?
Anything we collected that had evidentiary value or presented itself as somehow related to the crime or the incident would be collected.
And it would be important. to the investigation, right? You treat it as important.
It is a point, yes.
So my question is, was, especially as it relates to the February 10th search, where there were multiple items found, did you seek to have CSSS come out and actually either mark with GPS coordinates or measure with cross coordinates exactly where each item of evidence was found?
We did not do that. We had collected so much evidence already, and so much has been documented at that point, that we did not contact crime scene services to come back out and photograph more shards of glass and plastic. We simply collected it for processing.
So the location of each one of those items was not of that great importance to you, at least at that time?
It was of great importance as to the fact that it was located in the vicinity where the victim was found and in the vicinity of other items located of the same characteristic, shape, size, and color.
So that's my question, Sergeant. What does vicinity mean?
In the area.
Okay, what does area mean?
It's a location, specific location.
Okay, are we talking about, because we can do this all day, I guess, are we talking about an area of 5 feet or an area of 50 feet?
Based on where the items were recovered, we're talking about an area approximately of 30 square feet between the roadway into the grass.
We saw photographs, Sergeant, of items that were butted up against a fire hydrant in one instance, correct? Is that yes?
That's correct, yes.
A drinking straw that's out in the road, correct?
That's correct.
Another shard of glass that's in the grass, closer to
correct.
the flagpole, correct?
Correct.
A hat that's under the snow, adjacent to the left side of the flagpole, correct? I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was closer to the electrical box, wasn't it?
No, the pictures documented where the hat was. It was to the right of the flagpole.
So these shards of glass, the point I'm asking is, did you seek to use basic cross coordinates, measurements from something that you know is a known object? Like, for instance, I don't know, a flagpole or a fire hydrant. 27 inches to the north and a foot and a half to the south of those two known points. That would give you a cross coordinate, correct?
It would document the exact location, correct?
And you did not do that with any of these items, correct?
The items that were not photographed were not also GPS located, but they were within the same vicinity of where the other items were collected.
But again, now we're back to the same question. Your word for vicinity might be different than my word for vicinity, right?
Objection.
Sustain.
This is why they generally will map things out when they're doing evidence collection. We've seen that in so many trials.
When you recover these items, or any other items, it's obviously important to memorialize on the evidence bag or in some other way exactly where they're found, who found them, the date, time, etc. Correct?
We do the best we can to document all known information on each evidence item bagged at the time.
And in terms of the February 10th search, I want to just ask you a couple of quick questions about that evidence bag. Did you bag the items into a single evidence bag that you found that day, or do you recall?
I would have to see the bag. If you have those available, I'll take a look. I can answer
With
that.
the court's permission, exhibit, I think it's 310 that was entered into evidence yesterday. I'd like to display that for a second.
Okay.
You're looking at a photograph of what was previously entered into evidence as 310. Can you see that from where you're at? I don't have the evidence bag with me, so if you don't, I can certainly ask for space to enlarge it.
If you can enlarge it, please.
Just the portion of the right. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I didn't realize I've got a photograph of it.
Do you need the lights on, Sergeant?
Please.
There you go.
Thank you.
Should make it easier. Sergeant, have you been able to familiarize yourself with that evidence bag?
With the photograph, yes.
Okay, thank you. Taking a look at that evidence bag, it has the information on it has your name is collected by, correct?
Correct.
The date of collection is February 10th, is that right?
That's what it says, yes.
Okay. And it indicates multiple pieces of red, black, and clear plastic, right? It actually says 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic, correct?
That's correct.
But that is not an evidence bag that was filled out by you, is it?
I did not fill that bag out, no.
As a matter of fact, that's Trooper Proctor's handwriting.
I do not know what Trooper Proctor's handwriting is. I cannot confirm that that's his handwriting.
But it's not your handwriting.
It is not my handwriting, no.
So are you aware that this particular bag, that bag that contained those 6 items of plastic material that you already deemed was incredibly important to the investigation, was never booked into any evidence until March 14th, the date that it was submitted to the crime lab?
I was not aware of that, no.
We can take that down, Mr. Bates. If I may approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How can you write somebody else's name on something like that, though? Don't you think that would be something that was pretty important?
Did you ever draft a report yourself documenting the recovery of those 6 items and the other 14 items that you said that you found on the same date, February 10th?
I did not, no.
Did you leave that assuming that Trooper Proctor would document that?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
I'll ask it another way if I can. Did you believe that you didn't need to write a report, Sergeant, because Trooper Proctor would take care of that?
I knew that it would be documented. It was already documented on the actual bag as far as who collected it, when, where, what it was, and a report eventually would be authored on it.
But the where, for all these very intricate pieces, the where is left to 34 Fairview on the back, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Is that right?
The general vicinity location of the other items collected and documented with photographs was consistent with the same locations this was collected.
I want to shift gears for just a second. Well, actually, I want to ask one final question about that item. Based on the documentation that you just mentioned, that it's documented on the bag, and if the bag is presented to the crime lab on on March 14th, some 5 weeks later, those items were completely unaccounted for from a log standpoint for the entire time from when they were collected until they were booked at the crime lab, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
Possession of those items for those 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Are you talking about the items that were just displayed on the screen?
I am, sir.
I did not.
Now I'd like to shift gears to a ring video that you saw yesterday. It's in Exhibit 6, video number 153. That may mean nothing to you. It's the 5:07 a.m. video of Ms. Reed's car pulling out of the One Meadows garage. Do you remember that video?
I do.
Okay. You indicated yesterday on under questioning by Mr. Lally that Ms. Reed's car came in contact with or close to coming in contact with the other vehicle, the Traverse, in the video. Is that right?
The video, as I watched the video, I observed the vehicle come near Mr. O'Keefe's car.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about. With the court's permission, may we play that video one more time?
You can see.
Pull that up and then.
I'm almost happy 13 months. Happy 13 months. Watch the tire.
Play that for a quick second, and then I'll ask you to pause it.
Watch the tires shift.
Pause.
You can see.
Does that appear to be, I'm just pausing it in the first 2 or 3 seconds, does that appear to be the video that you saw yesterday?
It appears that way, yes.
Okay. Mr. Bates, if you could enlarge the area around the the left rear tire of the Traverse.
Oh, exactly this
I'm
is
going
what
to
I
ask
said.
you,
They're listening.
sir, if you'll pay close attention to what's been zoomed, and when the SUV gets close to it, I'm going to pause it and ask you another question. Can you go ahead and play this?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this.
So why don't we pause the screen, take it down, and I'll see you at sidebar.
Ugh. It's ridiculous. So this has been one of the things that I noticed this yesterday. He asked about hitting or coming close to. So the way that he said it was like a compound question. So it almost like kind of gave him an easy out. Like he didn't say, did you see this car, did you see Karen hit John's car? The way that Lally worded it, if I remember right, because I think I put it in my notes, the way that Lally worded it was like, did you see him, or did you see her either strike or come close to that car? And he said yes. So it kind of gave him an out of not having to admit that she hit the car. You can see that tire that he's blowing up right there. That's how I was able to tell when I looked at this. That's how I was able to tell that she actually did hit the car, because you can see that tire shift when she hits it. Now, that's the defense's theory on how she cracked the taillight. So does that mean that that's necessarily how she cracked the taillight? That's for the jury to decide. But she does make contact with that car. And you can see it in that video. The tire, like you can see, like the tire kind of like shifts forward a little bit where the impact was. And something that I thought is interesting is people are saying like, oh, she did this on purpose to cover her tracks. If I was going to do this on purpose to cover my tracks, I would hit it like hard enough to where it would do damage to his car and my car without a doubt to be able to line that up. So I don't think it was on
I
purpose.
situate myself when I'm out of the way.
That doesn't make sense to me.
If we can have the lights dim, Your Honor.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead and enlarge the rear area of the Traverse. And I'm going to ask you to pay special attention to that wheel and any movement that you may or may not see. Okay, pause it. Okay, in about the next 3 seconds, Sergeant, I'm asking you to pay special attention to the wheel. Go ahead.
See? That's very clear to see.
We can have the lights on. And you can take that down. Sergeant, were you able to see that video? I know it's not the clearest thing in the world. Were you able to see that video okay?
Yes, I
What did
did.
you notice about the rear wheel of the Traverse?
Based on the motion in the shot with the snow falling, it appears that there is movement, but the video speaks for itself.
What would you assess based on the movement of the rear wheel of the Traverse about whether or not the two vehicles came in contact with one another?
Objection.
Sustained.
Okay. May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes. He said it speaks for himself. Look at him with his own court objections.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm trying to use my time wisely, Your Honor. Yesterday, Sergeant, you were asked about a couple of videos related to the Sallyport garage. Do you have that in mind?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, we watched one of them pretty specifically toward the end of the day yesterday. Did you actually, I want to talk about the one that is the clearer of the two.
Yes,
where
please.
you
The mirrored
slip.
one.
You remember that one?
If you pull it up, I can.
I will in just a second.
Okay.
There was one where Mr. Lally paused it and you were slipping in front of the vehicle.
I don't recall myself slipping, no, but it was icy that day. So if there's documentation of me slipping, I might have happened.
Fair enough. I didn't mean anything by that other than that was a moment that I thought you might recall to differentiate the videos. It's Exhibit 446, but I don't think that's going to help you. All right, let's see if I can do this another way. Did you actually personally go to Canton PD to retrieve any or all of the videos of the Sallyport? You yourself?
I did go to Canton and collect already extracted video.
Okay.
But it was a portion of video surveillance. I didn't collect all of the video, so
When was the most recent time that you went to Canton to collect a portion of a video?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Did you review well, let me ask it this way. Did you collect a video that was sought on or about April 23rd, April 24th this year, meaning just a few weeks ago?
Did I collect it?
Correct.
I did not collect that video of April this year, no.
You're aware that the video that you saw yesterday was in fact collected after the trial started in April of 2024?
Objection.
Sustained.
Are you aware of when that video that we saw yesterday was collected?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I am not aware.
Okay. Was yesterday the first time you'd seen that video?
No.
When had you seen that video previously?
A couple of weeks ago.
Okay. What were the circumstances in which you saw that video?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you have a meeting with the DA?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you ever have any kind of communication with Mr. Lally about your testimony?
Objection.
Sustained.
Can we approach?
Yes.
Okay, so that video, remember during that April 12th hearing, this is why this is important. Remember during that April 12th hearing, when we heard them talk about the minutes that were missing, there were 42 minutes, I think, that were missing from the Sallyport video that they had turned over in discovery, right? So that was April 12th. And Lally said that it was missing because the cameras are motion activated for the most part, whatever the hell motion activated for the most part means. Whatever, that's what he went with, so we went with it with him. So there were 42 minutes, though. We know that they had arrived at, and you could see them coming in the outside camera, but that inside camera, those minutes were missing. That was April 12th, the pretrial hearing. April 23rd, there was a notice of discovery that was filed by the Commonwealth. Notice of discovery, it's Roman numerals XL, and it included, hallelujah, after the trial's already started and they've been called out for the minutes that were being missed or that were missing or whatever, and it was motion activated for the most part.
You are unmuted.
Then they turned it over. So after the trial had already started. So that's what he's asking him about.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you. Sergeant, did you have any meetings or communications with Mr. Lally in anticipation of your testimony?
Yes.
When was that?
It was about 2 weeks ago, and then last week, I believe.
And what was discussed, generally?
Generally, we discussed the portions of the case that I would be presenting.
Did you write a report about your communications with Mr. Lally?
No, I did not.
Were you shown any of the videos that you've seen here in anticipation of your testimony?
Not during the first meeting. I did review a video during the second time.
Okay, and that video was that you did see the second time was the interior video of the Sally Port that we saw yesterday, correct?
I'm just trying to remember exactly what video I saw. I had reviewed videos outside of our meeting, so I don't remember exactly what video Mr. Lally showed me.
But you do recall seeing the video that you saw yesterday, the sort of clear one that has the crime scene tape being put up and all that. You have seen that one before?
Yes.
And that was with Mr. Lally, correct?
That is not correct because I do not recall when I saw that video or what video I saw with Mr. Lally.
I see. All right. I'd like to talk about that Exhibit 446 for a second, and then I'll show it to you. You indicated that the video, all the videos, everything that you saw yesterday was true and accurate, correct? Based on your memory of the events that were memorialized in the video?
The video captures events taking place in accurate fashion, yes.
In an accurate fashion. All right, that's what I wanted to find out. And after you watched the video, I think you were asked by Mr. Lally, does the video show you or Trooper Proctor having access to or messing with in any way that right rear tail light in any fashion? And you said never.
I was asked if at any point Trooper Proctor and I had came into contact, I believe, or touched the vehicle and that portion of the vehicle, and I said never. We never touched the vehicle prior to it being properly processed with a search warrant.
And that was specifically his question was to, and your answer was to the right rear portion of the vehicle, right? That right rear tail light.
The right rear damaged taillight, correct.
Right. With the court's permission, I'd like to play a portion of Exhibit 446.
Okay.
Before we begin playing it, Mr. Bates, if you wouldn't mind, may I inquire, Your Honor, of the witness, just to lay a foundation? Yes. Sergeant, do you recognize this as being the video that we saw yesterday?
It does look accurate.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page. This is 446, just so you have it in mind if I recognize.
This is the mirrored video.
Play that. And I think it's runtime 120. Pause it. Do you recognize that as the video we saw yesterday?
Yes, I do.
Very briefly, if you could move to time of day, 5:37:05. Court's permission, can we play at this point?
Yes.
All right, that shows the vehicle coming into the Sally Port, and we're looking at which side of the vehicle?
So that is the driver's side of the vehicle. What that video depicts is a mirror collection. Although mirrors are accurate representation of what you're seeing, it's just inverted. So that is the driver's side of the vehicle. I do not know why it is inverted, but that's the way it was presented, collected and presented from Canton Police.
Can you see a timestamp or a time and date stamp on the bottom of that? It's in blue.
I cannot know.
Okay. Does it appear that time and date stamp, if you can't read every letter on it, that is in correct order? In other words, that's not inverted.
I cannot read it, no.
All right, let's go ahead and play this for a second. Who is that just got out of the car?
I do not know. I think that's the tow truck driver. He would have the only access to the vehicle.
Good.
We did not touch the vehicle.
Who's that on the left?
I missed that. I was looking down at the laser pointer. I do not know. I know for a fact I'm the gentleman that's wearing a dark olive drab state police baseball style hat, and Trooper Mike Proctor is wearing a winter hat.
Trooper Proctor's wearing what?
A winter hat.
Back that up. That was playing, and I didn't realize it was playing while you were talking. Stop. A little bit further back. And then stop. Yesterday, when you testified, you indicated that the two individuals in this scene were you and Trooper Proctor, correct?
Not correct. There was two individuals in the rear of the vehicle I shined my light to. That was me and Trooper Proctor.
Do you see Trooper Proctor toward the back of the rear of the vehicle there?
I can't tell because of what the head is. I just know that Trooper Proctor was wearing a black hat.
Which the person in that, in the video to the left, to the rear of the car is wearing a black hat, correct?
I can't tell. I don't want to be locked into a statement where later on you show me that it's somebody else magically. I can't testify to that.
There's no magic about this. It's your testimony. I'm just asking you what you see.
I don't see that, no.
Let's go ahead and play at this point. Do you see the person toward the back of the vehicle walking toward the opposite side of the SUV?
I do.
What area does he appear to be going to?
He appears to be going towards the rear passenger side of the vehicle, although it does not appear so because the video is inverted, a mirror image. That's where he's going.
And Sergeant Bukhenik, you testified for at least a half an hour about this video yesterday, correct?
I'm sorry, it was a long day. I don't know the timing of how long I testified.
You significantly testified about this video yesterday, did you not?
I testified about this video.
And you testified that it was true and accurate, correct?
Correct.
And you testified that it was reflective of your observations of what was happening in that Sally Port that evening, correct?
I testified that this is a accurate scene and collection of video evidence from the Sally Port.
And as that truck sits in that Sally Port, just like this, it appears from all perspectives that what we're looking at is the passenger side of the car, and that right rear taillight is right there shining in our face, correct? From this perspective.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
From this perspective, from the perspective that the jurors are looking at,
Okay.
from all indications, that would appear to be the right side of the truck, the passenger side of the truck, and that taillight that you can see is the right rear taillight from this perspective, correct?
The way it presents itself, yes.
And yesterday, during the entirety of your questioning, by Mr. Lally, not once did you mention that this video is actually completely inverted,
I
correct?
did not know.
Mr. Lally didn't ask you if it was inverted, correct?
That's correct.
And if I hadn't gotten up here and begun questioning you, that would be left uncorrected, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
The person with the winter cap appears to walk directly to the what ultimately should be the right rear taillight of this car, correct?
That's the vicinity, yes. That's where he is. Yeah.
It looks shady. That looks shady.
Pause it. I'd like you to pay attention to the right rear of this car. And I know we're completely backward, but it's the far corner of the car. Do you see a person's head there?
It appears as if someone's still there.
And that person is located at or near what portion of the car?
In real life or as it's depicted?
Is the person in real life, near the right rear taillight of the car?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, standing there hovering around it, correct?
We don't know the distance that they are in proximity to the actual vehicle. We just know that they're behind the vehicle. That
Looks like it's pretty close, doesn't it, Sergeant?
Objection.
Sustained.
Does that look like he's in close proximity to the right rear taillight?
As I said, I can't tell how far away he is from the vehicle.
His head's right there, sir. You can't tell that he's right next to the right rear taillight?
Objection.
Sustained.
All right. I want you to pay attention to what that person does as soon as the other person comes out from behind that car. See if you see him move. Stop it. Do you see that person move?
I saw movement in the frame, yes.
Right when the other person is in eyesight of the person toward the right rear, correct?
I mean, the video speaks for itself.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection sustained. No commenting, Mr. Jackson. We've talked about that.
I'm going to ask Mr. Bates to back it up because there's one other issue I want you to pay attention to, if you can, right at this moment or right before this moment, and that is the timestamp. We back it up in maybe 10 seconds. Right about there. Don't play it yet. Instead of paying attention to the individuals, I'm going to ask you, can you see, may I approach the screen, Your Honor?
Yes.
Can you see the timestamp at 5:37 and 37 seconds p.m.? Can you see that from where you're at?
No, I cannot.
Me neither. That's why I don't walk up to it.
It's so small at the bottom.
Let's play it for about 10 seconds. Pause it. Did you see another person just appear toward the rear end of the car?
There was a fog of some sorts. It did appear as if a person was actually in. There was two people back there, and two people walked away, or one person walked away.
The timestamp jumped to 5:38:01. Correct?
I cannot see the timestamp, sir.
Okay. Did it appear that there was an anomaly? There was a portion of that video that was deleted. What's missing? Not deleted, but just missing.
Objection.
Can you tell that? Does it appear that way to you, Sergeant?
No, Your Honor, I cannot tell what is happening with the video.
If you take a close look at there's a classic police car in that Sally Port, correct?
There's an antique vehicle there, yes, yes.
If you take a close look at the trunk of that vehicle, you see the word police?
Yes, I believe I can read that, yes.
And it's backward, correct?
It is mirrored, correct.
That's a good indication that this is an inverted video, right?
It appears that way, yes.
And if we were to fast forward at 5:42, not another 20 seconds, Mr. Booth. There you go. Can we just play it at this point? No. You take when you pause it. Pause it. You see the Sallyport garage came down?
Yes,
You see a number on the garage?
I do.
Is that correct?
What is correct?
Does the number appear correct? How do you make it 4?
No, the number's in the mirror image, yes.
I just wanted to make the point. Everything in this video is completely backward, correct?
It's not backwards, it's mirrored, reversed. You can look yourself in the mirror in the morning, you still see your own face. It's not backwards.
But my mirror image is not an accurate depiction of who I am. My
Check.
actual physical appearance is who I am, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
A mirror image, Sergeant, is not an accurate video of this, is it?
Objection.
It's a mirror image by definition.
Sustained. Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Your Honor, thank you. I don't think I need to. I would like to mark I have a, we can bring the lights up.
Wait.
I have a thumb drive that I'd like to have marked with the court's permission.
Okay. Does Mr. Lally know what's on this thumb drive without you telling us?
I do not.
Okay.
We can approach and I can certainly bring it up.
We're trying to wrap up our morning.
It's,
It's marked for identification.
if I may, Your Honor, I'd like to play the first 10 seconds of that video.
No. We'll come to Sidebar. It's marked for identification, right, Mr. Jackson?
You are
She said no. So if I'm the jury, because keep in mind, the jury is not going back. Like I made that post yesterday about the mirror image and, you know, like I looked up the galaxy and all that stuff, like, you know, to show that the writing was on the back of the car, not the front, like to, you know, rule that out and everything. Like the jury doesn't have the ability to do that. So they're only seeing across the room what they're seeing. So for them to not mention that it was mirrored, the jury's not going to be on their little internets at the end of the day looking up stuff to try to make this make sense. They never mentioned it being mirrored yesterday, and that was a true and accurate representation, whatever, but it wasn't. That looks shady. That looks shady. So then you see them hovering right around where the damaged taillight is, and they're like, yeah, no, I never went over there. I never touched it. That looks shady. I tell you what, for a group of people who, like, if they are not guilty of anything, what, and I'm not saying necessarily conspiracy, I'm not saying necessarily cover up, it could be just, it could be any of those, it could be just beefing up the case, it could be whatever it is. If they're not guilty of anything, they're sure doing a bad job of convincing people. It looks shady. If you're a jury and you're given this as a true and accurate representation, and they never mention
Because this isn't just a regular mirrored video, like a selfie that's no big deal. Like this isn't that. They are hovered specifically where the damaged taillight is. That, and so for them to say, you know, for them to say, oh, this is a true and accurate representation, and not mention that that is a mirrored video and they are literally standing in the area where the damaged taillight is. If they had said this is a mirrored video and gone into it like that, it wouldn't look so shady. Okay, it's mirrored. We don't know why. They said they got it like that. No big deal. That we don't know why. I've never seen a mirrored video like that. But cool, you tell the jury it's mirrored, so that way when they're seeing people in this video, they know exactly what they're looking at and, you know, where they're at. The fact that they didn't tell them, and like AJ said, if he had not brought it up during this, it never would have been mentioned to them. That looks sleazy. Because if I'm looking at that, I'm looking at it like, oh, they're trying to trick me, huh? And just that one piece of information, them not telling the jury that that's a mirrored video, makes it look like they are intentionally misleading them, and then it makes you think, well, what else are they trying to mislead me on? That's the way I'd be thinking about it. If they are not guilty of doing anything, they are doing a terrible job of convincing everybody of that. Shady shit like that is what brings on reasonable doubt. These are those things that the attorneys normally would point out to prevent the appearance of being shady or trying to get them with their trickery. And this, it's not like Karen Reed's attorneys are, you know, overworked public defenders who have 1 million cases and, you know, are working on all of these things and miss things. And I'm not saying anything bad about public defenders. I'm saying that public defenders are notoriously overworked. So they do tend to miss things sometimes. This is not them. This ain't them. They ain't gonna miss much. They ain't gonna miss much. Why is the timestamp not inverted? I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. And I still don't know why they were able to get this after the trial started. But they said that the reason that they didn't have it is because the cameras are motion activated for the most part. What? For the timestamp to not be inverted means that I would assume maybe that it means that it's something on the camera setting. I'm in no way saying that they inverted it intentionally. I don't know. They said that this is the way it came from Canton Police.
You are
I don't know.
unmuted.
But them not telling them it is a big deal.
So we'll just wait. Jurors, I know that you want to know when this case is going to end, and I don't mean that in any negative way. After speaking with the lawyers, I can safely say that you will get this case for your deliberations sometime the last week in June. We'll know better next week. We will not be in session next Tuesday. We will go full days, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. We will not be in session next Tuesday. I have to give you those cautions again. Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
All rise for the jury, please, jurors.
You are muted.
No quotes following.
Yep, done all day. She said that they were going to be done early today.
Thank you.
You may be seated.
All right, so I received a motion from the Commonwealth this morning that I have not had an opportunity to read yet. It's on my desk. I'd like to go spend a few minutes looking at that and come back out at 12 o'clock on that.
Oh.
In order for us to argue it?
Yes. Do you need?
I don't get it either.
Okay.
We've been busy.
All right.
Could we do it on Monday?
I want to get as much evidence in as we can each day. We can do it at 8:30 Monday morning, I think. Madam Court Reporter, can we do it at 8:30? Yeah. Jim?
Sure. Absolutely fine with us. Not that it matters.
Can we do it at 8:30 Monday morning?
If that's what the court wants, yes.
Yeah, we'll have a hearing on it at 8:30 Monday. Are you around tomorrow? Are you around tomorrow?
Oh, am I? Yes, absolutely.
Do you want to do it tomorrow morning?
If I had a preference, I would say Monday.
All right, we'll do Monday morning at 8:30.
I'm sorry, Monday 8:30.
Okay, great.
And if you want to put something in writing, just email it to us this weekend.
Will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you then.
All rise for the court, please.
What motion did they put in? Let's see if we can. I didn't know about a motion. Let's see if we can pull up. C2282 CR00117. Docket. What'd she say? She got it yesterday? It's not on mass courts yet.
It's not on masscourts.org yet. I don't know what it is. I was going to see if they put anything. I was just say I was just on this last night. I do know that they received the cell phone records from Verizon on the 3rd. So I don't know if it has something to do with that. So I guess we will find out on Monday. No court tomorrow. No court tomorrow. There's, oh, she said this morning. Oh, well, it's not on there. I'll look again tomorrow. No court, or later today, because I'm going to be working all day on podcast. No court tomorrow. The hearing for whatever it is, whatever this hearing is that they're going to be doing is going to be Monday morning at 8:30. So we'll start a little bit early on Monday. She said no court on Tuesday. I think the motion is about the video because he gave the wrong video. Well, it's a motion from the Commonwealth. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. Pretty interesting. 4 full days. It's going to feel like the longest, even without Tuesday. Having Tuesday off, it's going to feel like the longest week ever because it's going to be full days. But at least we'll be off Tuesday, so I'll be able to work on the podcast that day. I don't know. We'll see. But that's our, oh, you can see my leg. My leg in the Lucy cam. Make a note. Full days all week. So if they're talking about having deliberations beginning on the last week of June sometime, Helena J said, I'll meal prep the next 3 days. Meal prep the next 3 days. We're going to be busy next week, y'all. If they're talking about the last week of June and defense said they only need 4 days for their case, I mean, I guess we'll see. Stats! Did I miss someone? Marie Moss posted, I'm sorry. I was reading and taking notes. 1 witness, 6 sidebars, 33 objections, 32 if any's, 8 don't recall, slip, or was it? And Trooper Proctor. I am not Trooper Proctor. I am not Trooper Proctor. That's not how you say my name. So crazy. So crazy. So crazy. It says tats. Tat, tat, tat it up. How many plastics? No clue. No clue. Oh, Jen. So I should just tell y'all I'm not going to tell you what I found and make you go listen to the podcast episode. But I'll be nice. I'll give you a little bit of a, let me show you. Let me just show you. Let me show you my timeline. So y'all know me. I'm a bit nutty. And y'all know I love a good timeline. Okay, so remember remember when Jen McCabe was talking about the Google search, and she said that she was doing the Google search for how long to die in the cold, and it was cold and her hands were shaking, and she said that Karen was shaking her or whatever, and she said that she was Googling it, and then the reason she stopped, I can't remember exactly how she worded it, but the reason that she stopped was because they were moving John. So then her and Karen were going to move to go see if they were working on John because they were moving John. She said a couple different times the reason that she stopped the search or whatever is like they were moving John. She didn't know if she ever got the answer because they were moving John. Joyful, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you. So I put every bit of information that we get, I put in the timeline, right? And when she said that, it stood out to me because I remembered things. If you look at the full timeline, I made notes when they showed the dash cam of the different things that were happening. I made notes of that on here to just because I like to put everything together to see what's going on and what is adding up and all of that. So at 6:14 and 3 seconds, the EMT is walking across the road with the stretcher on Seraph's dash cam. They put him on the stretcher. It takes about 20 seconds. They put him on the stretcher and then they take him off. And they said in the, I can't remember if it was Flamati or which one it was, but they said that when they took him off, they took him directly to the ambulance because the whole point was to go to the ambulance to get him warmed up, right? So that was at 6:14. By 6:15 and 10 seconds, Carrie walks over there and she picks up the blanket, and I made a note that that's when she had to have gotten John's phone because you can see right here that the steps start about that time. Because she picked up the phone. So there's also like in the report, like they're giving Officer O'Keefe epinephrine, and then they intubated him and all of these things. So all of this is happening while he's in the ambulance with the doors closed because they are trying to warm him up. So she said that she was Googling how long to die in the cold while she was standing there in cold and shaking, and the reason that she stopped and didn't look or didn't see the answer or get the answer she wanted or whatever was because they were moving John. John had been moved for 10 minutes at that point. John had been in the ambulance for 10 minutes. And they did not move the ambulance. It was not listed for transport until 6:27, I think. Yeah. So at 6:27 is when, which is 4 minutes after the first search, 3 minutes after the second search, that's when they took him to the hospital. That's when the transport started. So even if somehow she accidentally meant that they were moving him like in the ambulance, which still wouldn't make sense because then they wouldn't be walking over there to see what they were doing. So it still wouldn't make sense. But even just trying to explore different options, that doesn't work either. So when she said that that's what was going on when she Googled how long to die in the cold, and she didn't get the answer, and she stopped Googling it or whatever because they were moving John. John had been in the ambulance for 10 minutes. So I don't know what it means or if it means anything. You can take with it what you will. I just point out the details. But that story is not possible or accurate or anything. So anyway, that's what I found about that, and I put it in the last episode, but that's why y'all need to listen to the episodes, because I try to put any of the little details, and some things you might hear in it and you might pick up on more stuff than me. Let's see. Do you know that if you turn your back to the monitor and look at the video through a handheld mirror, it flips back the right way? If you turn your back to the monitor and look, why? For what? He just said that Alan Jackson confirmed that Proctor is going to testify. I feel like he would have to. There's zero footage of her going to the patrol car. She never pointed out when she went, just said so. That was another thing that I had trouble with, and I had mentioned this before. If they had gone and sat in the patrol car, and that's, and Karen Reed was screaming to Google how long to die in the cold and all of that, that it would be on dash cam video. So I kept thinking like that'll get introduced. And it hasn't been. So Little B, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. I appreciate it. Watch the video through a mirror and it inverts to normal. So are you saying that there was a mirror in front of the camera? And that's why it's inverted? Or are you saying just to watch it? I can record it and flip it and post it. I don't think Canton PD has internal cams in their vehicles since they don't have body cams. So they have the dash cams, and the dash cams have audio, but not very good audio. Like, remember we heard when Seraph pulled up, I think it was Seraph, if I remember right, on his dash cam is where we heard Karen screaming, and they had played it again where she said, my boyfriend, I dropped him off and he never came home, or whatever it was that she said. LTL is here. Let's pull them up. Let's pull them up. Let's watch for a minute.
Sorry, we got all our streaming stuff. You made it up, huh?
It means you're looking at everybody, right?
No, not at all. It's actually an acronym. Gratitude, logic, awareness, acceptance,
Human.
accountability,
Warm. Wicked fucking
rationality.
human.
It was raining earlier.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, man.
There's only
Oh,
48s, but
where'd you guys go? Just underneath the...
They had a big top out
Oh,
there.
okay.
The girls are wonderful.
Okay.
I know I could make a bunch of money off of it, but I'm not doing that. I'll sue
Let's
somebody
go
if
see
they try to
everybody.
make money
And
off
then
of
I'm
it.
gonna...
That's right. I think you got a patent.
That's not what that's for.
We got Will. We got Tom. And then Tom and I are going to live tonight with Jess Machado.
Yep.
And,
Jess is
Oh, yeah,
great.
thanks for
I
cutting
love
me out of that.
no,
one.
what's
That
your
was
plans
good.
tonight? I can send you the link if you want to come on with us.
No, I would like to. Send me the link.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't know what my Wi-Fi signal is
Got
going
you.
to be able to handle the
Okay.
the bandwidth.
Okay, but you're welcome to come on at 8 tonight. I'll send it to you.
All right, here, I'll send y'all.
Yeah. No, I'd love to have you because we've
All right.
all the good thing about it is we've all been in court.
Right.
That's the whole point. So I'll let you.
There's the link to this
All right,
video.
let me get it.
And yeah.
How about this? How about Bukhenik dancing around all of Alan Jackson's?
What's going on,
What'd you think today?
dude? Like I was more excited because I was there yesterday, so I was more excited sitting there with you and getting your experience out of it. So I was more concerned, like, what do Brian thinks about this?
How about when the jury saw the blown up photo of Karen's car hitting John's Traverse? Literally, we looked over at the jurors. And what did they do? What
that was the first thing. I was like,
they went,
oh,
yeah, oh.
Yeah, for sure. Like, as soon as the jury saw that, like, the jury is already like.
I think they made the mind up
already.
already.
As far as doubt goes, that's been established. Like, there's no way. But now, what's happening, especially with the fact that they showed that video was inverted, shows that the prosecution is being deceptive versus the defense. And so now the jury is leaving here asking, why is the prosecution trying to deceive us? Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? And
how about this? How about Bukhenik dancing around all of Alan Jackson's? Well, you know, I never seen Trooper Proctor's handwriting. Come on, dude. You're his superior. You're gonna tell me that you haven't seen his handwriting before? Come on. And then we look over at TV, and TV's like, what the fuck?
Pure lies.
Yeah.
Pure lies.
Pure lies.
I mean, a lot of the same when it came to that, but the jury's reaction today
How is it
really
going? I don't know.
away with what happened today. Today we got to, I mean, out of all the days that we got to attend, we got to see the most pivotal moment for the jury. I think.
I mean, hitting the tail light, striking the tail.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and the jury, like, I saw maybe like 3 or 4 of them went, like the minute they saw it, when it was all blown up and it was there for them to see it. Totally. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I do. Yeah. I do.
Somebody had to figure it out.
Yes.
Right? Can I get a picture of you?
Tom.
All right. They're live, so I put the link in chat so y'all can go watch them. I have to get started on the podcast episode. I've got so much to get done. So I need to get to work on that. But I put the link in there, so if y'all want to go watch, tell them that we sent you. And I will see y'all Monday morning. Don't forget, we are starting early on Monday morning so that we can do the hearing. So I will be spending this week's episode, obviously, of the podcast is going to be late. I am normally releasing them on Wednesdays or Thursdays, and today's Thursday, and I have just started. The time when Jen goes into 34 Fairview is 10 minutes after the search. That's 6:34 that she's up at the door. Is it 6:34? I have that on there too. My timeline, my full timeline is on the on that Google Doc that I've shared with y'all. So, all right, y'all, have an amazing weekend. I appreciate all of y'all watching and hanging out and going through this. Yeah, I can share it again. Hold on. I will give you the link to it. I can get it. Come on. Open up. Open up. All right, here we go. Copy the link. There you go. There is the spreadsheet. So it's got all of my notes in there. Rona, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. And Megan's happy birthday. Happy birthday to you too. Happy birthday. Here, I'll portal y'all so y'all can keep this. I was about to say Friday. It is definitely not Friday. It's Friday Eve. Let's see. Customization. All right. We have RA is live. He's doing Karen Reed trial day from yesterday. We can portal over there. There we go. And tell him hello. All right. Okay, y'all. I appreciate everything. I will see you bright and early on Monday. And it's going to be a long weekend, but I'm going to get the episode will be late, but I will get it out by the end of the weekend. We'll get it. We'll get it done. We'll get it. We got it. We got it. It's good. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I will see y'all bright and early. Enjoy your weekend. Try to relax a little. Decompress. This case brings a lot of stress, so maybe try some goat yoga or something. I don't know, whatever you people do when you have spare time. All right, I love y'all. I'll see you Monday.
Yeah, I gotta go. I can't stick around here forever.
Everybody was wonderful. Everybody behaved. Everybody's always so nice to me.
Just love your channel and
Goodbye, good people. Now, how the heck do I get out of here?